Hello and welcome back to the spooky stream. Yeah, it's Sunday and I spent 2 hours washing my hair today, so that was fun. It is a process. When you have long stupid hair, and it's annoying. But yeah, I don't know what's happening. I'm very tired. I did go to the gym last night after midnight. Hey Ricochet. Well, I always go after midnight. What am I talking about? I did go to the gym and I moved up 10 kilos on my hack squat. That's like, I think 22 pounds. I moved up 10 kilos on my hack squat, so that's exciting. I'm getting more strong. I'm gonna become a muscle mummy, and that is my goal. Hello Dango, hello Ricochet, hello. So yeah, I'm working towards my goal of being able to crush a man's skull with my thighs. It's definitely the goals that I have set for myself in life. And I feel like that's a very healthy goal, you know, something to aim for. I kind of feel like chopping all my hair off. I'm kind of over taking care of long hair. It's really annoying. But moving my mic a bit close, it looks a bit dodgy on the levels. Anyway, I just have some dumb horror AI generated videos. I found some more about Australia. So there's one about cemeteries in Australia and places in Melbourne and places in Adelaide. Has anyone been to Adelaide? I know Adelaide is like a place that exists, but like I've never had any course to go to South Australia. When you were a kid, yeah, it's just kind of there. It's just kind of there hanging out, doing nothing. It's actually nice. I'm sure it is nice. I just, you know, I don't have any reason to go there. You know how I told the story about how I got in a scrag fight over My Little Pony toys when I was like 4? The girl that I had a fight with, she was my best friend from like, I don't know, age 2 to like age 6. And then her family moved, but she lives in Adelaide. But yeah, she's, I've only seen her when she would go to like Sydney and stuff, but yeah, it's, we ripped each other's hair out over and took chunks of skin off each other over My Little Pony toys. It was, we had a lot of big feelings that we didn't have any conflict resolution skills, so we just had a bit of a meltdown. Imagine if it took you 2 hours to wash your hair. That's how long it took me to wash my hair today. Actually, if I factor in like the pre-oiling that I did yesterday, because I pre-oiled my hair yesterday, I don't know. I'm really thinking of like, because I could pull off a Natalie Portman. Like I could definitely shave my head and get away with it. I'm kind of thinking about doing that. But then I'll be sad. I'll be sad if I shave off my head. My hair. I would definitely be sad if I shaved off my head. This is why people are scared to stop fights between girls. I mean, we were literally 4 years old. Like we were tiny. And I think just toddler brain, not knowing, like just getting so mad and not knowing what to do with those feelings. So we just started like grabbing chunks of each other's hair. Oh. All right, well, top 15 scariest cemeteries in Australia. And here we go. There is a map. Oh, I don't have it on the screen. Reactions. We're reacting. Ooh. I'm all the way over here. Yay. This is where I am. Exciting. Exciting.
Australia is known for its breathtaking landscapes, but lurking beneath the surface are places...
You used to live 300 meters down the road from a cemetery. Ooh, did you used to go there a lot? I used to go to this really pretty cemetery in Sydney. I think it's in Bronte, but I think it's called like Waverley Cemetery, and it's like up on the cliff from like the ocean, and it's the most prettiest cemetery I've ever seen in my life. I used to go there a lot. I did a photo shoot there once, actually. Thank you for following Ellie Adams or Eli Adams, don't know. If I were to reform the FBI or the CIA, which one would I explode? I feel, are you a Fed? Are you trying to get me to, is this entrapment? Are you trying to get me to incriminate myself? I'm on to you. Ellie or Eli, I know you're probably up to something. I don't trust that question, sir or madam, or they. This is not entrapment. That's exactly what someone who was trying to entrap me would say. I feel like. So, like, we're trying to watch spoofy videos here, okay?
Far more terrifying. In this video, we'll take you on a chilling journey through the top 15 scariest cemeteries in Australia. Haunted locations where the spirits of the past are said to still roam. From shadowy apparitions to eerie whispers, these cemeteries will leave you questioning what truly happens when the dead don't rest in peace. 1. Rookwood Cemetery, Sydney.
Oh, this is one of my favorite cemeteries. This cemetery is the border between the inner west and Western Sydney. And yeah, this cemetery is awesome. It's definitely the oldest in the country. It's huge. Yeah, I love. It's actually called Rookwood Necropolis. It's the city of the dead. Oh, you can see that Necropolis Drive. Yeah, I love this cemetery. It's amazing. Have I been to Fawkner Cemetery? I have been to Fawkner Cemetery many times. I used to take my cat to the vet at Fawkner because they had a really good vet that would give like students like, you know, cheap rates. And so when I had my elderly cat that I took down to Melbourne with me when I moved from Sydney, I would take her there because he was a really really lovely vet, and he would give like pensioners and students and stuff like that, like, you know, discounted rates. So yeah, I have been through there, and yeah, I have been to that cemetery because I like cemeteries. I just thought of a cute story of one of my best friends, Josh, who unfortunately is no longer with us. He OD'd about 4 years ago. Yeah, he OD'd about 4 years ago, and I unfortunately missed the funeral because the coroner had his body for a really long time, and the time that I arranged to go to Sydney wasn't the time period where the coroner had even finished with, you know, his findings or whatever. I don't know. Maybe there were a lot of dead people in that few weeks or something. But we went to the graveyard that was near our high school, and I don't know, we were like heaps like inebriated, I guess is the word. We were under the influence of substances, and we saw all these graves without flowers, so we went around and picked like all these like wildflowers from the bush, and we put them on all the graves that didn't have flowers because we felt bad. We were like, oh no, no one comes and visits these graves. Let's put flowers on them. And that's a nice memory. That's just the type of boy Josh was. Until he discovered smack. And then that was a, yeah, not a great thing. But 2 out of 5 of my best friends are dead already, and I am way too young to have that many that many dead people in my close circle of friends. So that sucks, but I don't know. Heroin is a hell of a drug, I guess, kids. I guess that's the moral of the story.
New South Wales. Rookwood Cemetery is more than just Australia's largest cemetery. It's a place where history and the paranormal collide in a chilling spectacle. Established in 1867, this sprawling cemetery holds over 1 million souls, making it one of the largest in the Southern Hemisphere. The sheer size of Rookwood means countless stories lie buried beneath its grounds, many of which continue to reach out from beyond the grave. Visitors have reported eerie whispers carried by the wind, shadowy figures darting between the tombs.
It's beautiful, but I will say there's a lot of like vandalism, a lot of like historical graves and stuff like that. Like people just go and like break the headstones and stuff like that. I mean, it is near Auburn. It is near Auburn, and it is like, I was born in Auburn, so, you know, I'm from there. I grew up in like the Granville area. Okay, I'm not, you know, not being classist, but, you know, people from that area do like to just break stuff, you know, sometimes, which is unfortunate. And I speak as somebody from that area who has broken stuff. So not at the cemetery though. I would never do that. That's disrespectful to the dead. But you know, I did go through a phase where I like to engage in shenanigans, and I think that's safe to say because I'm pretty sure like the statute of limitations on those types of crimes is like pretty short. So I don't think anyone's coming to get me. Oh, good morning, Farron. Good to see you. Are we watching Spooky Places again? We are, because it's Spooky Sunday, and it's the spookiest. It's the spookiest day of the second most spookiest day of the week. I don't know, something like that. But yeah, there's a lot of vandalism in this cemetery, which sucks because it does have security, but because it's so vast, like this place is incredibly big. Like there's roads that go through it. It's nuts. Like I've been to a few funerals at Rookwood because where I lived until I was 12 is like very local to this area, obviously on the Western Sydney side. Of the cemetery. But yeah, so I've been to a few cemeteries here, and you have to drive through like the whole cemetery to find the section. Like there's a few roads that go through it, and you got to drive to the particular section, maybe like the particular religion. You have to drive to the section, and then yada yada yada. It's a whole thing. There's even a train station. There's even an old train station. At Rookwood, it used to have its own train station. The train station is still there. It's just that there's not trains that go there anymore, if that makes sense. But you can still see where the old train station is, which is pretty cool. And there's a lot of like Illuminati-esque like little monuments around. It's like, it's very cool. It's a very cool place.
Tombstones and even glowing orbs hovering above the graves at night. One of the most spine-chilling tales involves the ghost of a woman in white. Sightings of this spectral figure are common near the oldest sections of the cemetery, where she's seen wandering, lost, and forlorn. Some say she's searching for her child, while others believe she's a spirit who never found peace. Rookwood's historical significance adds to its unsettling aura. Many of the graves belong to convicts, early settlers, and even victims of the Spanish flu pandemic. With so many tragic stories and untimely deaths, it's no wonder this cemetery is a hotspot for ghost hunters and paranormal enthusiasts. The air is thick with a sense of sorrow, and the feeling that you're never truly alone lingers long after you leave. 2. West Terrace Cemetery, Adelaide, South Australia. Welcome to West Terrace Cemetery, Adelaide's oldest and most haunted burial ground, established in 1837. This cemetery is the final resting place for thousands, including soldiers, early settlers, and even infamous criminals. It's no wonder that many believe some of these souls never truly left. One of the most famous ghost stories from West Terrace involves a shadowy figure known as the Black Shadow. This mysterious figure has been...
So basically like every other shadow that's ever existed, a black shadow. Do they come in other colors? I don't know, do they? That's a genuine question. I don't think they do.
Seen wandering the grounds at night, disappearing behind gravestones and appearing out of nowhere. People have reported feeling cold chills when this ghostly apparition passes by, even on the hottest summer nights. The cemetery is also home to the ghost of Captain Moonlight, a notorious bushranger who met a violent...
Captain Moonlight sounds like he should be in Sailor Moon. Never running from a real fight. He is the one named Captain Moonlight. It doesn't work, but I don't know. He would be a fitting character to add to the franchise, I feel like. Oh, we got some army graves. Boop.
End. Some say they've seen him pacing around his grave, his ghostly form bathed in a faint, eerie glow. Even more unsettling are the countless unmarked graves scattered throughout the cemetery. These are believed to belong to the poorest members of society, and it's said their restless spirits still linger, waiting for recognition. West Terrace is a place where history comes alive, literally. Ghost tours regularly visit the cemetery.
See, I don't like ghost tours. I don't like them. I just think it's kind of disrespectful to kind of make a mockery. Like, imagine if you were a ghost and these people are just coming through to like be like, ooh, there's a ghost. Look at the ghost. It's like, you would feel like an animal in the zoo. No, I don't like that. I would be definitely cursing all those people. Like, how dare you? How dare you disturb my eternal haunting of this graveyard? Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here, kids. Had enough of your shit.
And many participants claim to have seen flickering lights, heard faint whispers, and felt an unshakable sense of dread. Could it be that these spirits are trying to tell us something? 3rd Street John Cemetery, Parramatta, New South Wales Street. John Cemetery, nestled in Parramatta, is Australia's oldest...
Don't say Parramatta like that. I don't like that. It makes me feel dirty. It makes me feel dirty inside.
European burial
but
ground,
shout out to Western
with its
Sydney.
First recorded burial dating back to 1790. It's a place where the past is very much alive, and where ghostly encounters are anything but rare. Legend has it that the ghost of a young convict girl roams the cemetery, especially near the oldest headstones. Witnesses describe her as wearing tattered clothes from the colonial era. Her eyes...
This is... Anybody that's from Sydney will know that this is like Para Westfields just across the road. Parramatta Westfields is just across the road. I used to go shopping here with my parents when I was a kid. We would go to Stocklands Mall in Maryland, and we would also go to Parramatta Westfields. Memories. But yeah. I've been past this graveyard like probably at least thousands of times. Because you go past it on the train as well, pretty much. Like the main Western Sydney train line goes past it as well. But yeah. Oh, I found out from watching like I think it was a Instagram short. Anyway, anyone that's like been in any type of alternative subculture and lived in Sydney would be familiar with the suburb of Newtown, right? And when I was a goth kid, and like a teenager, we used to hang out and drink in a park called Camperdown Memorial Park, which is in Newtown. There were like punks, there would be goths, there would be, it wouldn't really be emos because I feel like we would bully those people. I feel like we would bully those people. They weren't really emos, thank God. But all different subcultures would hang out there. Because Newtown was like the place where like most of the gigs in Sydney would be. And then like there were a lot of record shops and a lot of like just, music paraphernalia shops and things like that. And like band shirts and like where they would sell like all that type of stuff. Anyway, I found out that I was sitting on top of one of the oldest cemeteries in Australia. Yeah, it used to be a cemetery. They just filled it in and made a park. What the heck? I'm going to look at that. I was like, ooh. I think I've hooked up with somebody. I've hooked up with somebody probably on top of a dead body. Think about that. That's fucked up. Camperdown Memorial Graveyard. Yeah, Camperdown Memorial Rest Park in Sydney is the remnant of the city's main Anglican cemetery from 1848 to 1868. Known for being overcrowded with poor burials, in the 1940s, following public complaints and the discovery of a murdered girl's body, the graveyard was transformed into parkland, with headstones relocated to line the walls of the central preserved cemetery. It's a historic green space with notable graves, including explorer Sir Thomas Mitchell and victims of the Dunbar shipwreck, and was a filming location for the adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. Ooh, I love that. Mary Shelley peeled. Yeah. I used to go into Newtown a lot when I was in high school. Me and my boyfriend would always go there, and like we've definitely at least made out in that park. So yeah, that's disturbing. But the thing is, like, I had no idea. Like, I knew there was a walled off like church in the middle of the park, and it was just sort of there, but it was just like such a small part of the park, right? You don't even really consider it. But yeah, I'm like, holy crap. I kind of want to message him and tell him, but he like lives in Japan and I think he's married now, so I also don't want to message him because like that's very, very like weird and disrespectful. So, but I do kind of, so I'm just telling you guys instead because that's so messed up. I'm laughing not because it's funny. I'm laughing because I'm just so like horrified by the thought of just like, you know. Anyway, what are we talking about? We're talking about how I used to go to this park when I was a teenager in Sydney, in Newtown, and I didn't know that the park was built on top of a graveyard. There were like a lot of paupers' graves and stuff there, and like a murdered girl's body was found there, and in the 1940s they turned it into a park. But a lot of like the alternative scene in Sydney, a lot of people used to hang out in that park, and I was saying that like I've definitely hooked up in that park, so it's kind of disturbing. That's the story, honeybee. That is the story. Yeah, so I don't know. Just sharing with the class that I probably made out on top of a dead body, on top of a skeleton. Disturbing to know, disturbing to find out. Although that is pretty goth. So that is kind of like Wuthering Heights, like Mary Shelley kind of coded. So, you know, it is on brand. It is on brand for me, I will say. But yeah, going back to Parramatta.
It's hollow and sorrowful, as if searching for something or someone. Could she be one of the many convicts who met a tragic fate in early Australia? There's also the story of the crying woman, another apparition that's been spotted weeping near her family's graves. Some say her cries are so heart-wrenching that they've been heard from outside the cemetery walls. As you walk through St. John's, you can't help but feel the weight of history pressing down on you, as if the souls buried here are yearning to share their stories. The eerie stillness and the sense of being watched make this cemetery one of the most haunted places in Australia. Visitors often feel sudden cold spots, hear disembodied whispers, and see shadows that move just beyond their line of sight.
I will say Parramatta is haunted as I lived like just south of here in Granville when I was a kid. I lived there from like the time I was a few weeks old till the time I was 12. And I can tell you like there's definitely a lot of like convict spoopy stuff, because this was like the main area in Australia where you have like early convict history, that and the Blue Mountains, both of which I spent my childhood in. So yeah, there's a lot of, maybe that's why I ended up so goth. Maybe that's why I ended up so goth. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of spooky stuff. Have I ever had any paranormal experiences? I did. We had 2 convict ghosts at our house in Granville when I was a kid. We lived in a very, very old house. There was a very old like oak tree in the backyard, and like there used to be like some type of sandstone structure at the back of my parents' block. There was kind of like ruins of something there. It was kind of like, it kind of spanned like over a few blocks, like our neighbor's block and whatever. Like there would just be like, I don't know, there must have been a structure there, probably I would say in like the 1790s or so. So like very, very, very early colonial history. But I would, okay, this is so freaky. I would have this imaginary friend when I was little. I would have this imaginary friend, and I don't remember this, but I would tell my parents all this stuff about this imaginary friend that I had. And my parents were like gonna take me to see the priest, right? Because it was all like what I was describing to them about this, like, because my dad has a best friend. Well, he did have a best friend. He's no longer with us, unfortunately. He did have a best friend that was Irish. So I knew vaguely what an Irish, you know, accent sounded like. And so I had this little friend. That I would tell my parents about, and they just assumed it was like, I don't remember any of this, by the way, so I don't know if I was seeing a ghost, or I don't know if like whatever, but I had this imaginary friend called Kathleen, which is, you know, pretty classic, you know, straight out of the Irish name book. But I had this little friend, and I would tell them all the stuff that like Kathleen would say to me, and it was all like very just not things that like a little like 3-year-old like girl living in Sydney would know about like colonial history or stuff. And I don't remember any of it, but I would tell my parents like all these things that were like very like contemporaneous to like convict times. And also in that house, I don't know if this was like an episode of like sleep paralysis or something, but there was this old lady, and I saw her in my bedroom, and I felt her yank me out of bed by my feet, and I was really, really scared, and she dragged me into the hallway. And then when I woke up in the morning, I was still in the hallway, but I don't know if like that was a dream. It was more than likely like a sleep paralysis, sleepwalking episode. But yeah, those are things that I've had, and I've definitely had like sleep paralysis episodes. But it's something that I remember because I remember being in the hallway and just being too scared to move. And just, I remember I was probably about, it would have been like maybe in year 1 or year 2. And I remember just being too scared to move and just being in the hallway, shaking, yada, yada, yada. But you know, when you have those dreams where you can physically feel things, I wonder if I had a dream I was being yanked out of bed, but I actually just sleepwalked out into the hallway and then just kind of passed out there. I mean, that would be the, I don't know. I like to try and like rationalize things out of yeah, I do believe in ghosts, but I don't want to believe that any experience that because that's terrifying to me. I don't want to have a life where I'm just like coming into contact with like dead things. Yeah. It honestly scares the absolute shit out of me. Have I ever had a fever dream when I was sick? Yeah, I had a really bad fever last night, actually. I must have been having like a lupus flare in my sleep because I woke up last night and like I always wear like a band shirt or like just a big ex-boyfriend shirt or, you know, something like that to bed. And I just woke up and my shirt was like drenched in sweat. I had to get up and have a shower. Oh, I just remembered another two another two ghost experiences that I've had. So this is, oh no, actually there's been 3 of them that have happened like this. No, 4 if I count my cat. So I've had these things that have happened before when people have died. Also my cat that I had for 18 years, who was my best friend, I had the same experience with her. So I've had these dreams, right? My dad's best friend took his own life, and my dad found the body probably when I was like, I want to say I was in year 10, so I think I was like 15, 16. Anyway, maybe about 2 weeks after he died, I had this thing where it was really early in the morning and I was waking up. And this is why I think it could have been a dream. Or you could make the argument that that's when, like, you know, you're kind of, you know, making the trip astrally between worlds, if you believe in that type of stuff. I was waking up and I saw my dad's best mate, Ollie, and he was at the end of my bed and he was saying, oh, like, hey, Pans, like, let your dad know that I'm okay and I'm sorry. And make sure Twist Top and Misha, that's his dog, his blue cattle dog, and his cat, make sure that, like, they're taken care of. And yeah, and then I told my dad. I've also had the same thing happen with my grandfather. It wasn't just after he died, though. It was when I had been the victim of a very serious crime, and it was going through the court process, and it was in the newspapers and stuff like that. Which is why I moved to Melbourne, actually, to kind of try and have a bit of a fresh start. But my grandfather turned, like, it was the same thing. Like, it was really early morning and I was just sort of waking up groggy. And my grandfather was at the end of my bed and he goes, oh, don't worry. Like, everything's gonna turn out all right. I know it's hard right now, but everything will be okay. And by the way, it wasn't. The reason why it was in the newspapers was because the guy was acquitted, even though there was, like, you know, very serious injuries, DNA, all of these things. He still got acquitted. So it didn't turn out okay. Lying ghost grandpa, I don't trust you. But yeah, and then the other time was I got this cat when I was a kid, and she was a black cat called Nightshade, and I had her from the time she was only a few weeks old, so she was a bottle baby. I got her during the school holidays, and because, you know, she was so young, she was way too young to be, you know, away from her mum. I had to bottle feed her, so I had to keep her warm, and I had to bottle feed her every few hours. And so we were very close because she thought I was her mum, right? She kind of saw me as her mum, not as her owner, because from the time she opened her eyes, like, I was, you know, I was her mum and I had her. And when she died, I'm not joking when I say, like, I had a mental breakdown. I think if I had have grieved for any longer than I did, I think I would have been sent to the psych ward. Like, I cried every day for 6 months, and I would only stop crying when I literally had no more energy to cry. Like, I was crying at work, I was crying on the train, I was just crying. I was so devastated. I loved this cat more than anything. She would just follow me around like a dog. We were just best mates. She was always around. She was the coolest cat, and I loved her so much. About a week after she died, I woke up in the middle of the night, and this was definitely a dream because it was bright, and it wouldn't have been bright in my room when this happened. But I felt like that heaviness on my chest. You know when, like, your cat or dog, like, climbs on you when you're asleep, like they come to get a cuddle? I had that. And I woke up and she was there and she looked really healthy because she was 18 when she died. So you know how, like, cats start to look, like, really disheveled and they've got, like, the old lady matted fur and stuff as they get older. She didn't have that. Like, she looked young and healthy. This is why I think it was a dream because, like I said, it was really bright in my bedroom and I just think it would have been too early in the morning for it to be bright. But she was purring and she curled up on me and I was patting her. And when I woke up, I went to, like, you know, give her a pat and she wasn't there. And then I remembered she was dead and I was like, oh. But that was so vivid. But it was more than likely just my brain, you know, trying to comfort me. It was more than likely my brain trying to be like, you know, give me some type of closure or whatever. Because I'd taken her to the vet the day before she got put down. I'd taken her to like this emergency vet in Kensington. And I spent $3,000 on her the night before she died, because I just wanted to make her comfortable. So they like drained her lungs because she had fluid in her lungs. They drained her lungs so she could breathe. They did all this stuff. And then the next morning I was talking to the vet and he was like, well, you can take her home. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, what, like, you know, what's her quality of life going to be like? And he's like, well, she's probably, at most, we can keep her alive for like another 6 weeks. And I'm like, yeah, but is she, you know, what's her quality of life going to be like? And he's like, well, you know, not great. And I was like, well, I can't have her like suffering for 6 weeks just because I'm too selfish to make the decision to put her down. So, sorry, I'm a sook. So yeah, so I was like, well, I'll just, you know, I said, I think it's better if I put her to sleep. My friend was with me at the time. And I was just like, I was crying so hysterically. My friend was with me. And, yeah, the vet just gave her, because she already had a drip in her arm. So the vet just gave her like the lethal injection, while I was holding her. And I just held her like as she passed away. And I was just like, I was like wailing. I was like a banshee. I was just sobbing so much. And, but the vet said to my friend that I didn't hear it because they had a side conversation. But apparently the vet said that I did the right thing, which, you know, is comforting. I like to keep an animal alive that's suffering is just because like it was hard for me is pretty effed up. So yeah, it was hard, but it would be cool if her little ghost came to visit me. It would be cool. That would be cool. But yeah, I have like a shrine to her in my house. I have like the little urn with her ashes and I have all her stuff. I threw her an 18th birthday party just before she died. So I have all like her little 18 party hat and stuff that I made for her. It was so sad. If I die and become a ghost, what kind of paranormal shenanigans am I going to get up to? Ooh, that's a good question. I would want to be creative with it, right? I wouldn't want to do like the turning on and off the lights and stuff. I think I would like getting to people's bedside tables and mess with, you know, that type of stuff. Maybe put some like chili sauce and like, you know, stuff that they got in there. Yeah, I think I would be like a perverted spirit. I think I would mess with people's bedside table paraphernalia. I think that's what I would get up to. I feel like that's, you know, that's a new spin on it. Turn on their vibrator or a flashlight in the middle of the night or something. Because I just feel like the footsteps in the hallway and like the lights and stuff turning on and unplug their fridge, yeah, spoil their milk, do stuff like that. I feel like we need to get creative. Oh, like dial their ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend, you know, it's awkward stuff like that. Make them think that they're pocket dialing like people they don't want to talk to. Yeah. Hi, Kylan. Good to see you. But if you were a perverted ghost, you would just drain the batteries of people's sex toys and give everyone blue balls. Diabolical. Yeah. What are you tuning into? We're just saying what we would do if we were ghosts. Like, what kind of shenanigans would we get up to if we were ghosts? And I was saying we need to be creative. I don't know like how much like power you would have as a ghost, but I feel like putting chili sauce on like people's intimate things would be it wouldn't be funny for them. It would be funny for me because I'm dead. And then they're like going to the doctors to get like tested for STDs, but it's just the ghost that lives in their house, their resident ghost just put like Just put like some sriracha in their fleshlight or something. Cross out random people in their photo albums. Oh, that's terrifying, Hyperbovian. That's terrifying. That's absolutely terrifying. I'd be on the phone with The Exorcist. Holy crap.
4. Toowong Cemetery, Brisbane, Queensland. Toowong Cemetery in Brisbane is the final resting place for over 120,000 souls, but it's the living who have the most terrifying encounters. Established in 1875, this cemetery is home to elaborate tombs, winding pathways, and a long history of ghostly activity. The most famous ghost is that of the Blue Lady, who's often seen wandering the cemetery's winding paths. She's believed to be a woman who died tragically in the early 19th.
She's an individual. She's not even wearing white. We like to see it. No long dark hair and no white dress. If you were a ghost, you would keep lonely pets company. Yeah, because they can see you. They can see you. Yeah, when their owners go out for the day. Oh, I like that. I would do that too. I would do that too. I would hang out with the cats and dogs. I would like that. But I like this lady in blue, you know, she's breaking with tradition. There's no white dress. It's, we like to see it. We like a little bit of, individuality.
1800s, and her apparition is said to appear in a soft blue glow. Witnesses claim she's harmless, but her presence sends chills down the spine of anyone who encounters her. Another unsettling experience reported by visitors is the sensation of being followed. Many have heard footsteps trailing behind them, only to turn around and find no one there. Paranormal investigators have captured strange, disembodied voices on audio recordings, adding to the eerie.
Oh, I hate those spirit box things that just pick up random radio signals, like truck drivers, CB radios. Hello, Blood, nice to see you. Make a Final Destination trap, but it just hits someone in the balls. I would 100% do that. I would 100% do that.
The reputation of this burial ground. Toowong Cemetery is a place where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and those brave enough to visit after dark often leave with a story they'll never forget. 5. Ballarat Old Cemetery, Ballarat, Victoria.
Do you think anyone was buried with their gold in Ballarat? Do you think anyone was buried with their gold nug-nugs? I suppose people would have stolen them. I need gold. I need to go to Ballarat and find gold. I need it. Bob Blood says, hello, he's new to this channel. Hello, Bob Blood. Welcome to the insane asylum. We are all crazy here. Surrender all hope, ye who enter here.
The Ballarat Old Cemetery, with its roots in the gold rush era of the 1850s, is a chilling reminder of Australia's past.
Ooh.
Many of the souls buried here met untimely and violent ends, and it seems that some of them are still lingering, unable to move on. One of the most famous spirits is that of a miner who was killed in a brawl over a gold claim.
Ooh, here we go.
They've seen his ghost wandering the cemetery, still searching.
Maybe he has hidden gold. Let's go ask him, sir. Sir, please, in this economy, I'm never going to own a home. May you please point me in the direction of your gold, sir? Thank you. It's no use to you where you are, okay? I'm still here. I'm still suffering. I need the gold. Please help me out.
For the fortune he never found. There are also reports of a woman dressed in 19th century attire who appears near the grave of her child, her face etched with sadness. Ghost tours frequently explore the Ballarat Old Cemetery, and participants often capture strange orbs, unexplained mists, and even shadowy figures on camera. The cemetery's connection to the gold rush, combined with its eerie atmosphere, makes it one of the most haunted spots in Victoria. 6. Glenorchy Cemetery, Hobart, Tasmania. Located just outside of Hobart, Glenorchy Cemetery may seem like an ordinary burial ground at first glance, but its eerie past makes it one of Tasmania's most haunted locations. This cemetery holds the remains of early settlers and convicts, many of whom died under harsh conditions. It's believed that the restless spirits of these long-forgotten souls still haunt the grounds.
Oh no, look, it's one of those strings from Doctor Who. What are they called? The something angels? Weeping angels? And it's actually weeping. Call a priest.
One of the most unsettling stories from Glenorchy is the frequent appearance of ghostly figures seen walking between the tombstones at dusk. These apparitions often vanish without a trace, leaving behind a lingering sense of dread. Some say they are the spirits of convicts who died in Hobart's brutal penal system, unable to find peace even in death. Visitors to the cemetery also report feeling sudden drops in temperature, particularly around the older graves. Paranormal investigators have detected unexplained electromagnetic activity in these areas, further fueling the cemetery's haunted reputation. Whether it's the convict history or the tragic tales of early settlers, Glenorchy Cemetery remains a hotspot for those interested in the paranormal. 7. South Head Cemetery, Sydney, New South Wales. South Head Cemetery, perched on the...
Wait, is that Waverley Cemetery? Is South Head Waverley? Let me see. If this is the one in Bronte. This is the cemetery I was talking about. That's really beautiful. Hang on. I've never heard it be called South Head, but I guess it technically is on South Head. I thought it was called Waverley. Waverley Cemetery. Yeah, Waverley Cemetery, Bronte, but I feel like this is the one he's talking about. I guess it will say. He has been giving the addresses, so we might be able to know. Oh, that's not the right video. Okay. Sort it out.
The cliffs overlooking Sydney Harbour is as beautiful as it is haunting. This cemetery, with graves dating back to the 1800s, has a long history of ghostly sightings and unexplained phenomena that have left visitors shaken. One of the most famous stories...
Oh, this is a different graveyard. This isn't the same one, because the one I'm talking about is like up against the cliff. You thought that was the sound of my keyboard?
involves a spectral figure known as the Lady in White. Witnesses describe seeing her walking along the cliff's edge, vanishing into the mist just as suddenly as she appears. It's believed she's the ghost of a woman who fell to her death, and her spirit has been searching for peace ever since.
Just so you know, if you lived in this unit, if you lived in one of these units, these units here, these flats in this old crappy brick building are probably worth more money than you will ever make in your lifetime. Just so you know. These flats are probably like $3-4 million for a 2-bedroom, maybe $5 million for a 2-bedroom. Actually, a lot more because you'd be able to see the ocean. Probably like $5 million, and probably like, I know some 1-bedrooms, some studios have been selling for over $1 million, $2 million in this area as well. It would definitely be a reason to jump off a cliff if you were trying to afford a mortgage on one of those.
Apart from this tragic tale, many visitors report hearing strange whispers carried by the ocean breeze, as if...
Oh, also, speaking of South Head, do you guys know of a place in Sydney called The Gap? Because it's right near here. Because this is Vaucluse. So there's a place in Sydney called The Gap, and it's in Vaucluse. And it was like the #1 suicide spot in the world. So many people have jumped off there. It's very close to there. They actually have nets there now, and they have these phones. They have these phones that like connect directly to Lifeline. So if you pick up a phone there, it'll automatically dial Lifeline and put you through to somebody. But yeah, I've been there. I've been there at night. Oh, it's in Watson's Bay. Close enough. The gap in Watson Space, Sydney has a long history as a site for suicides and accidental deaths, with over 100 confirmed suicides by jumping between 2000 and 2016, and many more across different time periods. Though there isn't a single official annual total for all gap deaths, preventative measures like barriers, cameras, and counselling phones have been implemented to reduce these incidences, which are often fatal, resulting in severe injury and severe injury for survivors. So there's an old man that lives in like one of the cliffside mansions here, and he always goes walking at night to see if like anybody's sort of around, hanging around there, contemplating deleting themselves. And he always goes and talks to them and invites them over to his house for like a cuppa. And apparently he's saved like scores of people just by like, going and like having a chat with them and like giving them a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or, a hot chockey. And yeah, what a nice old man. What a nice old man. We don't begrudge him having a $50 million house because he seems like a nice boy. He does seem like a nice boy. Oh yeah, you just wrote about that. Wasn't there a famous old man who saved a bunch of people's lives? Yeah. I don't know if you wrote that before I started talking about it or not, but yeah, there was. But it is a really beautiful place. Like, look at that. Stunning. But yeah, that's not far. That's not far from there.
The souls buried here are trying to communicate. Some have even seen figures standing near the cliff, only for them to disappear into thin air. The cemetery's location, so close to the crashing waves below, adds to its eerie atmosphere. Paranormal investigators have conducted numerous studies here, and the results are often unsettling, with strange energy readings and disembodied voices caught on tape. Southhead Cemetery is a place where natural beauty and the...
If I was a ghost, I would make fart noises and like fake orgasm noises. Like, I'd be like, I'm Sydney Sweeney. I've got amazing genes. And that's what I would say into the spirit box. Or I would just be like... That's what I would do if I was a ghost. I'm Sydney Sweeney. I'm touching myself.
Supernatural collide, making it one of Sydney's most haunted and captivating locations. 8. Karrakatta Cemetery, Perth, Western...
Sorry, hyperbobia, it's what he's saying. I'm Sydney Sweeney. I can't even say it. I shit my pants. I'm Sydney Sweeney. I can't say it. I can't say it without laughing. I'm sorry. I was gonna say I'm Sydney Sweeney and I shit my pants, but I can't say it without laughing. Hang on, I'm gonna record myself tonight saying it when I stop laughing. Hang on, I wanna get it. Stop laughing. You can do it. Oh my god, why is it so funny? All right. Deep breath. Deep breath. It's so hard to do like the orgasm voice where you say, I shit my pants. I'm Sydney Sweeney. I shit my pants. Okay, it wasn't as good because I was trying not to laugh. I need to work on it. I was trying so hard not to laugh. All right, moving on, guys. Moving on.
Australia. As Perth's largest and most historic burial ground, Karrakatta Cemetery is home to over 200,000 graves. It's not just the size that makes it unsettling. This cemetery is a known hotspot for ghostly encounters and paranormal activity. One of the most disturbing stories involves a mysterious figure known as the Watcher. Visitors have reported seeing this shadowy presence near the graves of children, often described as a tall, dark figure that seems to vanish as soon as it's noticed. Some believe
Oh no, there's a PDF file, Ghost. Why are you hanging out near the graves of small children, mate? Just want to have a word. Just want to have a word with you, you know? Even in death, these creeps be creeping. Unacceptable. I should do April Fools with that. I should go hang out wherever the ghost hunters are, and like have like a CV radio, have like a ham radio on like some obscure station, and then they find me going, I'm Sydney Sweeney. I shit my pants. Imagine hearing that.
the Watcher is a guardian spirit, while others feel it's something much darker. Other eerie experiences include the sound of children's laughter echoing through the cemetery, despite no children being present. Cold spots, flickering lights, and the sensation of being watched are common occurrences, especially in the older sections of the graveyard. Paranormal investigators have recorded unexplained voices and sudden temperature drops, adding to the mystery. Karrakatta Cemetery is a place where history and the supernatural intertwine, and its unsettling atmosphere leaves visitors wondering if they've truly left the land of the living. 9. Port Arthur Cemetery, Tasmania, Isle of the Dead.
Okay, that is so sick. The Isle of the Dead. Come on, Tassie, that's amazing. Also, Tassie used to be called Van Diemen's Land, which just sounds so cool. Like, imagine if there was like a little ferryman that took you across from like here to the Isle of the Dead. That would be so cool. It's like you're crossing the River Styx, you pay the ferryman, you go across to the Isle of the Dead. They should get someone to dress up like that and have like a little barge where they have like a little paddle and they just stand up in like long dark robes. Cool idea. Cool tourism idea for the goth kids out there.
Port Arthur is one of the most notorious convict settlements in Australian history, and its cemetery, located on the Isle of the Dead, is a chilling reminder of the brutal conditions endured by those sent there. The cemetery holds the remains of over 1,000 convicts, guards, and settlers who died on the island, many of them in horrific circumstances. Visitors to the Isle of the Dead report overwhelming feelings of sorrow and unease, as if the very air is heavy with the suffering of those buried here. Ghost sightings are common, with many claiming to see shadowy figures wandering the grounds at night, disappearing into the fog. One of the most famous apparitions is that of a convict who was hanged and buried without ceremony. His ghost is said to roam the cemetery, forever restless. Ghost tours of the cemetery often result in strange encounters, from disembodied voices to the sensation of being touched by unseen hands. Paranormal investigators have captured eerie photos and audio recordings that suggest something or someone is still lingering on the Isle of the Dead. With its dark history and isolated...
And then they just hear, I'm Sydney Sweeney. I shit my pants. I'm sorry, I have so many problems, guys. Only I could turn a ghost stream into like laughing about Sydney Sweeney shitting her pants. I need help. I need a lot of psychological intervention. All right, I'm so sorry. I can't take it. I can't take anything seriously.
Location. Port Arthur Cemetery remains one of Australia's most haunted places. 10. Melbourne General Cemetery, Melbourne, Victoria.
Oh, this one's really nice. And apparently this cemetery used to be under... Well, apparently this cemetery used to be where Queen Vic markets are now, but they moved it. So Queen Victoria Markets is built on the original site for this graveyard. Touched by unseen hand. That sounds lewd. Yeah, some lonely people would go to the cemetery to get touched by unseen hands. Like, I think there's a lot of lonely people out there would be like, yeah, I don't care if it's a ghost. I just need to be touched, man. I just need to be touched. Off they go to the graveyard.
Victoria. Melbourne General Cemetery is not only one of the city's most historic landmarks, but also one of its most haunted. Established in 1853, this vast burial ground is the final resting place of many prominent figures, including prime ministers and artists. but it's the ghosts of ordinary citizens who seem to make their presence felt the most. One of the cemetery's most famous hauntings involves a grieving mother who's been spotted near the grave of her child. Dressed in black mourning attire from the Victorian era, she appears to be weeping, only to vanish when approached. Witnesses describe
That's pretty goth. I want to be her friend. I want to be her friend. That sounds so goth. I'm into that. I'm really into that.
feeling a deep sense of sadness in her presence, as if her sorrow transcends the grave. Other visitors report hearing strange whispers and seeing glowing orbs floating above the graves at night. Paranormal investigators have conducted numerous studies here and often report unexplainable phenomena, including sudden cold spots and equipment malfunctions. Melbourne General Cemetery's combination of history and hauntings makes it one of the most eerie and fascinating places in Australia. 11th, Ararat Lunatic Asylum Cemetery, Ararat, Victoria. Buried deep in the heart of Victoria's goldfields, the Ararat Lunatic Asylum Cemetery holds the remains of hundreds of former patients who died within the walls of one of Australia's most notorious asylums. Many of the graves here are unmarked, and it's said that the spirits of these forgotten souls still haunt the area. One of the most chilling ghost stories involves the apparition of a former patient who was buried in an unmarked grave.
I wonder, I feel like that was a really hot dude. The guy all in like black tattered robes. I feel like he would be hot. Is there something wrong with me? I don't know. It's, I don't know. It's just, there's something so hot about like, I don't know, just like, I don't know. Maybe I just listened to too much Nick Cave or something like that. Probably. That's probably it. I just have a lot of problems in my brain.
Grave. Witnesses describe seeing a ghostly figure wandering aimlessly through the cemetery, often appearing confused and disoriented. Paranormal investigators have captured.
This is not an Australian cemetery. This does not feel like... I feel like he used real photos for the other one, but these are like AI, because this is not giving Australia.
Strange audio recordings near the graves, including whispers and...
Stop trying to fuck the ghost. I can't. I'm sorry, but I think some of them would be really hot. I don't know. I feel like this dude would be heaps hot, right? I don't know. I'm just getting those vibes.
Unexplained cries. The atmosphere here is heavy with sorrow and regret, and many visitors report feeling a deep sense of unease as they walk through the grounds. The spirits of the patients who were mistreated during the...
Maybe the Ghostbusters were called the Ghostbusters because they busted a nut over the ghosts. What if we were lied to? What if we were lied to?
Their time at the asylum are said to still linger, searching for peace they never found in life. The Ararat Lunatic Asylum Cemetery is a place of...
He's probably from the 1800s. His teeth would be awful. Yeah, true. I didn't think about that. Good point. Yeah. I have that under advisement, actually. Reassessing the situation.
Both historical significance and deep, unsettling hauntings. 12th, Waverley Cemetery, Sydney, New South Wales.
Oh, this is the one I was talking about. This is the prettiest graveyard ever in the history of the entire universe. Yeah, this graveyard is so beautiful.
Situated on the cliffs overlooking the Pacific Ocean, Waverley Cemetery offers one of the most breathtaking views in Sydney. But don't let the beauty fool you. This cemetery is known for its hauntings, particularly those of a ghostly woman who's been seen wandering the grounds. The Lady in White is a well-known figure among paranormal enthusiasts. Described as wearing a flowing white gown, she's often seen near the older graves, gazing out toward the ocean as if waiting for someone. Some believe she's the ghost of a woman who lost her lover at sea, while others think she's a spirit tied to one of the cemetery's many tragic stories. Visitors also report hearing strange sounds, such as footsteps behind them when no one is there, or the distant echo of a woman's voice calling out in the wind. Paranormal investigations have yielded strange results, including temperature fluctuations and mysterious orbs appearing in photos. With its picturesque location and eerie atmosphere, Waverley Cemetery is a place where the supernatural seems to walk hand in hand with the natural beauty of the landscape. 13. Launceston General Cemetery, Launceston, Tasmania. Launceston General Cemetery, one of Tasmania's oldest burial grounds, has seen more than its fair share of paranormal activity. Established in the 1800s, this cemetery is home to thousands of graves, many of which belong to early settlers and convicts. Over the years, numerous ghost sightings have been reported, and the eerie atmosphere only seems to grow thicker with each passing decade. One of the most common sightings is that of a shadowy figure who roams the cemetery at night. Described as tall and thin, with a dark cloak.
What if the lady in white is the same ghost that just keeps on showing up at different graveyards? She might even be the lady in blue. She might just change her dress. You know, girls do like to have a backup outfit. It's very important. You know, she might have spilt some pizza on there, you know, maybe like some pasta, you know, something oily and red that stains. White is such an impractical color to haunt things, I feel like, especially in graveyards, right? Because if they're still operational, there's going to be like a lot of dirt around. And yeah, white is just a really impractical color, guys. It's yeah, don't recommend. But yeah, you could be onto something, pseudomastics. You could be onto something there. I feel like black is like a way better color, you know. Because I am somebody that like does get food like on the clothes that I'm wearing, because like, I don't know, I just somebody that kind of like absentmindedly like shoves food in my gob. Like if I'm not with people, I am the biggest animal. I'm like the bush tucker man, just sitting there, like just sitting there not using cutlery, just shoving food in my gob with my hands and like, oh whoops, it fell down my shirt. Oh well. I've dropped food in my cleavage before. Like I've dropped like a morsel between my boobs. It's yeah. Look, when I'm alone, I just go full savage mode. I just become a wild woman. There's, you know, something freeing about that.
This ghostly presence is often seen near the oldest graves, disappearing into the mist as quickly as it appears. Some believe this figure is the spirit of an early settler, while others think it could be a convict who never found peace in death. Visitors also report hearing strange noises, such as faint whispers or the sound of footsteps on gravel, even when the cemetery is completely empty. Paranormal investigators have captured unexplained photos and EVP recordings, leading many to believe that Launceston General Cemetery is one of the most haunted places in Tasmania. 14. Ipswich General Cemetery, Ipswich, Queensland.
Ooh.
As one of Queensland's oldest cemeteries, Ipswich General Cemetery has earned a reputation as a place where the dead don't always rest peacefully. Established in the mid-1800s, this cemetery is known for its ghostly apparitions, eerie whispers, and sudden cold spots that send shivers down the spines of even the bravest visitors. One of the most unsettling ghost stories involves a spirit known as the Crying Woman.
Ooh, that's cliche.
The grave of her child.
We do like a nice cliche story. We do like a crying woman, wailing woman story. We do like it. You know, sometimes you gotta stick to the classics. You just gotta do it.
Weeping softly in the darkness. Witnesses describe hearing her sobs before seeing her ghostly form, dressed in old-fashioned mourning clothes. She often vanishes into thin air when approached, leaving behind only the echoes of her sorrow.
You bet ghosts from the 60s wear tie-dye. Yeah, and that's why you never see them, right? Because imagine a ghost wearing like bell-bottoms, like flared bell-bottom like jeans and like a tie-dyed top and like, you know, all the... Like you would just laugh. You would just laugh if you saw that. It wouldn't be menacing. But there's like something about like a, you know, 19th century like attire that's just like freaky, right? It's just scary. It's just kind of scary anyway. You know, everybody's got consumption. They're just coughing up blood everywhere. They've got like that sick Victorian child pallor, which I kind of have, to be honest. I'm pretty pale. Pretty pale. I definitely have the sickly Victorian child look going on, but that's okay. That's all right.
Bro. Paranormal investigators have experienced strange occurrences in the cemetery, including sudden equipment failures and unexplained voices captured on audio recording.
Yeah, they keep on hearing, I'm Sydney Sweeney, and I shit my pants. I want to actually do that. If I know there's like a ghost tour and they've got those spirit boxes, I want to like get a ham radio and work out like how to trick them, like hide somewhere and work out, like find a way that they'll definitely be able to pick me up going, I'm Sydney Sweeney, and I shit my pants.
Some believe that the spirits of those buried here are trying to communicate with the living, while others think that Ipswich General Cemetery is simply a place where the past refuses to stay buried.
Ooh, spicy. Look at the production value on this. Way to go. I just saw a graveyard that said Colgate. Is he the toothpaste guy? Probably not. Probably not. That's probably some rich American guy that probably has his own like mausoleum, so he's not like buried with the peasants. But Colgate. I like to have clean teeth. It's my hobby. Do you guys want to be... Is the video muted? It shouldn't be. There should be like saxophone music going. Desktop audio. Let's see. It should be playing. It should be playing. I don't know why it's not. Can you hear it? Let me mute it and unmute it. Hang on. I can hear it through my headphones. Hang on a second. I'll be back in a second. Okay, let me know if you can hear it. There should be
and there
like...
you have it. The top 15 scariest cemeteries in Australia. Whether it's the restless souls of convicts, tragic spirits, or mysterious figures that vanish into the mist, these haunted graveyards are not for the faint-hearted. If you're brave enough to visit, You might just encounter something or someone you can't explain. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments which cemetery gave you the most chills.
The one where Sydney Sweeney was there torturing me. That was the scariest one. Awesome. Good. Because I'm not smart enough to fix technical difficulties. Like, this is, you know, this is me firing on all cylinders. So it's, you know, it's hard out here. It's hard out here for a bimbo. I don't think you guys appreciate how hard my life is. When you can only use like a small percentage of your brain, it's hard. I'm really obsessed with her today. I don't know why, because it's just so ridiculous. Because the whole thing is just ridiculous. Like it's just the most absurd thing I can think about. It's just like a ghost impersonating Sydney Sweeney, talking about how great her genes are, that she shut herself. I don't know. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. Don't worry, I'll find another joke by the end of the stream. I'll find something else stupid to become obsessed with. This will be like our chat in joke when like more people start watching the stream. We'll like always throw back to the I'm Sydney Sweeney, I shit myself, and people will be like, what are you talking about? La boo boo. Exactly. So this is apparently top haunted places in Melbourne, Australia. So we're gonna do Melbourne because yeah, because it's Melbourne. And we be here. We be here being haunted and stuff. Ooh.
Melbourne is famous for its culture and history.
Melbourne.
But beneath its streets lie some of the most haunted places in Australia.
Beneath
Tonight,
the street?
We're diving in.
Beneath the street? How do we get beneath the street? Do we need to like get into the sewers like Ninja Turtle style? I honestly want to know. There are tunnels there would be tunnels underneath Melbourne. Let's go. Who wants to be a subterranean mole person with me? It's like just being creeps just being underground creeps. I'm so into that. I want to do it.
Into the top 10 haunted spots in Melbourne that will send chills down your spine. Are you ready to face the ghosts lurking in the shadows?
Maybe. I've just solved all my lupus problems. Maybe if I become a subterranean mole person, I can go out during the day. I don't have to worry about the sun burning me. I can just be a mole person. Just, you know, be in the street, underneath the streets of Melbourne, you know. It'll make it heaps easier for me to travel. I could do that. I'm into that. I need to find a way to get into the sewers.
1. Old Melbourne Gaol. I'll
Old
never forget
Melbourne
the night I
Gaol.
stepped inside the old Melbourne jail.
Oh, he said it right one of the times.
It was past midnight, and the silence was so thick, it felt like the walls were breathing. They say over 130 people were hanged here, including the infamous Ned Kelly. I didn't believe in ghosts, not until that night. As I walked past cell...
I'm sorry, not to get all ghost horny again, but I think Ned Kelly, like flesh and blood Ned Kelly, would have been fine. I'm just saying. I think he would have been, you know, he was a bad boy, but he was also sort of like, you know, Robin Hood bad. You know, he standing up for the common man, fighting authority. I don't know, it's just hot. 10 out of 10 would. Definitely leave the mask on, baby. Let's go.
17. The air turned ice cold. My flashlight flickered, and then I heard it. A whisper. A man's voice, low and guttural, saying, "Get out." I froze. No one else was on the tour. I turned slowly and
Would the armor stay on during sex? I mean, the helmet would definitely stay on. It depends. It depends, you know, it depends what, not to go into too much detail, but it depends, you know, what type of relations you're engaging with. Like, cause, you know, sometimes you want to make out, sometimes you don't. It just, you know, it just depends. It just depends what old Ned is into. You know, I'm I'm a giving gal. I like to facilitate what other people want. What can I say? It depends. It depends what he's into.
Standing at the end of the hallway was a shadow, tall, still, watching me. A week later, I found out that cell 17 was where several inmates were kept before execution. Paranormal investigators have recorded EVP, electronic voice phenomena, there, including the same chilling phrase I heard. That wasn't the end of it. When I developed a photo I'd taken in that hall, a pale face appeared in the cell window, one that wasn't there before. I left that night shaken, and I've never gone back. But some say, if you stand quietly in the gallows room, you can still hear the rope creak. 2. Queen Victoria Market. I used to work the night shift at Queen Victoria Market. Most nights were quiet, just the hum of the city fading away. But one evening, as I locked up alone...
I only ever go to Queen Vic markets these days if like I have a friend coming down to stay with me from like Sydney or Queensland or something, and it would be the loudest, most obnoxious sound insects, just clank, clank, clank. I mean... I don't know. It's the neighbors are just gonna have to cop it. Okay, look, they're just gonna have to. They'll just think I'm like cooking. They'll just think I'm like making bread or something. I'll certainly be needing something, that's for sure. But they'll just have to deal with that. Yeah. Anyway, I only go to Queen Vic markets when I've got like. I'm showing like a friend there, like around Melbourne, because I don't know, there's not like that much touristy stuff to look at in Melbourne. It's like, oh, what did we do? We went to the museum, we went to the market. I'm Def's a cooker. Yes. Yes. That is an astute observation.
I noticed something strange near the meat hall.
Ooh, the meat hall. Damn, that sounds hot too. Who wants to go to the meat hall? Is that where the hot ghosts hang out? The meat hall? Damn. I'm looking for some ghost meat, if you know what I mean. I'm in the market for some ghost meat.
Still, the kind of silence that presses on your chest. I heard footsteps behind me, slow, deliberate. But when I turned, no one was there. Just rows of empty stalls. I tried to shake it off, until I saw it. A figure, pale, dressed in tattered 1800s clothing, standing near one of the produce tables. I blinked, and she vanished. Gone. Later, I found out the market was built over a massive cemetery. More than 9,000 bodies still lie beneath those stalls. And I'm not the only one. I thought they moved them. Other workers have heard crying at dawn, and one cleaner quit after seeing a man kneeling by a grave that no longer exists. They say the dead don't like to be forgotten. And under Queen Victoria Market, they're still waiting to be heard. 3. Princess Theater.
Ooh.
I've always loved the theater. The velvet seats, the golden lights, the echo of applause. But nothing prepared me for what I saw at the Princess Theater. I was working backstage one night during rehearsals, just me and the sound tech. Suddenly, the main curtain swayed, even though there was no breeze. Then we heard footsteps, slow, steady, crossing the stage. But the stage was empty. I looked up to the balcony, and there he was, a man in full evening dress, just standing there, watching. I thought he was an actor at first, until he floated backwards and disappeared into the wall. Okay. I later learned about Frederick Federici, an opera singer who died of a heart attack in 1888, right beneath...
See, I don't want to bang the opera singer, because I feel like he would be rich. He would have been rich. He'd be a snob, like... I feel like Ned Kelly would be dirty. Like, I feel like Ned Kelly would, you know, be a little bit... I don't know. There's just some ghosts that, like, you just know would be a dud root. You know what I mean? It's like... I don't know. Just not into that. Sorry, I don't find you attractive, Federici, ghost man. Just not doing it for me. Just not doing it for me.
The stage. But here's the twist. The cast swore he took his final bow with them that night, moments after he died. Even now, actors say the light boards flicker, props go missing, and cold air lingers on stage right before showtime. Some say it's just the theater playing tricks. But me, I know better. Because I saw him, and he saw me.
What if he pulls off a cool off-road note while climaxing? That's weird, man. That's weird. I don't know. I think I would feel uncomfortable. Wait, am I climaxing too? That depends. Because if I am, I wouldn't notice, to be honest. I wouldn't notice. But, yeah. If it's just him. If it's just him. See, he sounds like a selfish lover as well. He sounds like a selfish lover. I think he would definitely need to take the finding the clitoris class. I think Ned Kelly would care about my my pleasure, you know what I mean? I don't know, I just get that vibe from him.
4. Hotel Windsor. I stayed one night at the Hotel Windsor. Just one. It was meant to be a weekend getaway, a bit of old world luxury. But by midnight, I was praying for morning. I was in room 310. Around 2 a.m., I woke to the sound of soft knocking.
Ooh.
3 times, slow and deliberate. I opened the door. No one. The hallway was empty, dead silent. I tried to sleep, but the knocking came again. This time, from inside the room, from the wardrobe. Heart pounding, I forced it open. Nothing. But the mirror next to it had fogged over,
Ooh,
as
kinky.
if someone had breathed on it. And written in the condensation was a single word: stay. The next morning, I asked the front desk about the room. The clerk looked pale. "We don't usually rent that one out," she whispered. "It belonged to a guest who never checked out. She died in her sleep, alone." People say the 3rd floor is the most active. Staff report voices in empty hallways, and some guests have checked out early, refusing to stay another night. I did the same. Whatever's haunting that room, it doesn't want to be alone.
Well, we finally have a horny ghost girl. That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. That will probably be me when I die. That will probably be me when I die. Just like, oh, you look okay. You look kind of hot. What are you up to? Why don't you stay? Why don't you stay, mate? Why don't you live in this room forever? Because I'm a pervy ghost girl. Hello, Yarib. How are you? Yeah, I don't know.
5. Pentridge Prison. I went to Pentridge Prison for a ghost tour, just for fun. You know, old cells, creepy stories, maybe a cheap thrill.
Ooh.
But what happened in
Ooh, people are going to the graveyard for cheap thrills, hey? All right, I'm in. Let's go. This sounds like my type of place.
Division wasn't part of the script. As we walked through the execution wing, I lagged behind the group. Something about the walls felt alive, like they were watching. Suddenly, I felt a sharp cold rush down my back, and the smell, metal and rot, like blood and rust. Then I heard it. Chains, dragging across the floor behind me. I turned. Nothing. But when I looked down, a single wet footprint appeared on the stone floor. Bare, human, fresh. Our guide told us later that this was where Ronald Ryan, the last man hanged in Australia, spent his final hours. His ghost is said...
It's a shopping center and luxury apartments now. Oh, is this the one that's kind of in sort of Coburg or like that area, like on Sydney Road where you like turn off to go? Yeah. I know. Oh, I know where this is. I thought it looked heaps familiar, but I couldn't. Yeah, I remember driving past that a while ago and it said like Medina on it and it looked like they'd turned it into apartments. Imagine living there. Fuck that. I wouldn't live there. I mean, it's really pretty, but fuck that. fuck that. It's expensive? Yeah, expensive to live with like freaking demon ghosts running around. And look, if I'm gonna pay that much money for somewhere, I want like a hot ghost. I only want hot ghosts, okay?
To linger, angry, unsettled. And he's not the only one. CCTV footage from this wing has caught doors slamming, lights flickering, and even voices shouting when no one's inside. One guard quit after being locked in a cell that hadn't had a key in decades. I left that night changed. Some say it's just the power of suggestion, but I know what I heard, and I'll never forget that footprint, slowly drying in the cold. Six, Melbourne General Cemetery. I never believed.
Are you gonna buy a flat? You should buy a flat there, Delta. You can get like hot goth girls to like come back to your place by telling them all the spoopy stuff that goes on around there. You can be like, yeah, you can have them flooding in. It'll be good. You're not rich, yeah. That's the hard part about life. I am not rich either, unfortunately. It sucks, but whatever.
Believed in ghosts. Cemeteries felt peaceful to me, quiet, respectful. But Melbourne General Cemetery, that place felt wrong the moment I stepped in. It was just after dusk. I was visiting a friend's grave near the far eastern wall. As I stood there, I heard soft weeping, a woman's voice, faint but constant. I looked around. No one. Just...
I'm really resisting the urge to do the Sydney Sweeney bit again, but I'm not going to. I've used it too many times. I need a new joke.
Rows of crumbling tombstones and a thick, creeping fog. Then I saw her. A woman in black, standing completely still by an old grave, veil covering her face. I blinked.
She's wearing black.
And she was gone.
That's hotter.
But the
black is the
didn't
best
stop.
color.
Later, I looked up the name on the grave. Eliza Donathorne.
Ooh.
A woman said to have died of grief after being left at the altar. Locals claim her spirit wanders the cemetery, still waiting for her fiancé to return. Others have seen lights flicker in the darkness or heard footsteps that circle them, but never show a source. And some visitors say their phones refuse to work near her tombstone. I left in a hurry, heart pounding. But just before the gates, I heard it again. A single sob, right behind me. I didn't look back. I couldn't. 7. Williamstown. Timeball Tower. I thought the Williamstown Timeball Tower was just a relic.
Yeah, I drive past this all the time. I drive past here all the time. I always drive around here at night. Like I drive along like the seafront, and I drive to Altona usually. I just like looking at water. I always see people fishing here. I wanna have a crack. I don't have any fishing stuff in Melbourne, but I always see people fishing, nighttime fishing around this area. So I wanna give it a go. I wanna see what I can get. Can you see a ghost wearing black at night? I mean, I wear black at night. People seem to see me all right. A lot of perverted men seem to see me all right. So I think you'd be able to.
Went there on a foggy evening, hoping to take some atmospheric photos. What I got instead was a story I've never told anyone until now. As I climbed the stairs inside the tower, I felt an odd pressure in my ears, like the air had changed. And then, I heard it. A loud bang from below, followed by the sound of heavy boots stomping up the stairs, towards me. I froze.
Oh wait, can you go inside of this? I've always just driven past it. What the heck? New mission unlocked. Nah, if it's haunted, I'm not gonna go in there. But I do drive past this all the time. And there's this weird like Titanic restaurant. It's like shaped like a boat that's just like up from this. It's crazy. What the fuck is that building? Let's have a look. Actually, I want to show you this just because it's pretty nuts. Titanic Restaurant, Williamstown. Is it a restaurant? I don't know what it is. Just very weird. Shush, please. Can you guys see this? How nuts is this? It's like a restaurant, like shaped like a ship. They've got like the little, I don't know, chimneys or whatever. And then, yeah, it's absolutely nuts, guys. It's absolutely nuts. I've always drive past it, but that's just right near, that's just maybe like about 100 meters from the tower that the dude's talking about. That's like more interesting to me. That's bizarre. Oh, it's a theater restaurant. Yeah, like the smokestacks. I don't know what they're called. I don't know what they're called. Oh, it looks pretty cool inside, actually. It looks pretty cool inside. Maybe I should go there, but I feel like it's going to be like some musical theater bullshit. I don't know. That type of stuff makes me feel very uncomfortable. But it does look cool. Like they have put a lot of effort into it. Anyway, that's right near here, the Titanic restaurant.
The footsteps stopped just behind me, but when I turned, there was no one there. I made it to the top and took a single photo. Later, when I...
By the way, this is where I saw the penguin. You know when I told the story that I was in the car with my friends and I saw a penguin and I just yelled penguin at the top of my lungs because it was a freaking penguin just chilling on a rock. This was where that was, just here, like off the shore. There was like a rock and there was a penguin there. And I was like, penguin! And they were like, yeah. And I was like, but it's a penguin. And they were like, yeah. And I'm like, well, I'm not from Melbourne, okay? I'm not just used to seeing a freaking penguin just freaking chilling on a rock, okay? It was really cute and I got excited and it made me accidentally yell, okay?
Zoomed in, I noticed something in the reflection of the glass. The face of a man, gaunt, eyes wide open, mouth frozen in a scream. Locals say the tower is haunted by the spirit of a drowned sailor, a signalman who jumped to his death after failing to warn a ship that crashed. Sometimes, they say, you can still hear the ship's bell ringing, even though the harbor's been silent for years. I've never gone back, because I'm sure something followed me down that night, and I still hear boots behind me when it's quiet. Eight, Young and Jackson Hotel. It was meant to be just a drink, a quick stop at the famous Young and Jackson Hotel before catching the last tram home. But what I saw inside still haunts me. I was sitting near the staircase, admiring the painting of Chloe, the nude portrait that's been there since the 1900s.
Ooh, kinky.
Something about
Kinky
her
Chloe,
eyes
they
felt
call her.
alive, like she was watching me. I brushed it off as imagination until the lights flickered. That's when I saw her. A woman in a flowing white dress, standing at the top of the stairs, not moving, not...
Your mom is obsessed with this place? Really? Do you have any goss? Do you have any goss about it? It looks so familiar, but I'm just trying to place it in my head. Like, I've definitely seen this place, like, probably hundreds of times. Because it looks so familiar, but I just can't place it in my brain. It's across the road from Flinders Street. Oh, that's why I've seen it so many times. Every time I get off at Flinders, I see it. There we go. That's why.
Blinking. I thought it was a staff member, until she turned and walked through the wall. I asked the bartender if anyone else had seen her. He gave me a look.
Oh, Chloe's got a bit of a Brazilian wax going on back in the day. That's pretty impressive. When did they start doing Brazilians? I wanna know. I would have assumed that she would have a full bush, right? Oh well.
And simply said, "That's Chloe. Happens more than you'd think." Some say Chloe took her own life after a broken love affair. Her spirit is said to appear to lonely patrons, especially those sitting alone. People report sudden drops in temperature, whispers in the empty hallways, and even their drinks moving across the table by themselves. That night, I finished my glass and left fast. But as I passed the painting one last time, I swear to you, she winked.
You think they use tweezers? Oh, that sounds awful. Thank God for laser. Oh my God, no, nope. That sounds like some type of medieval torture. Plucking out your individual pubic hairs. Holy shit.
9. Altona Homestead. I joined a historical tour at Altona Homestead one rainy evening. The kind where the clouds sit low and the world feels a little off. The homestead looked charming from the outside, but once I stepped in, the warmth vanished. As the guide spoke, I wandered into one of the back rooms. That's when I heard children giggling, soft and playful, echoing through the empty hallway. But there were no kids on the tour, just adults, all accounted for. I turned to leave, and the door slammed shut behind me. I yanked at it, heart racing, locked. Then I heard footsteps, running in circles around the room, but no one was there. The air smelled like old dust and lavender. When they finally got the door open, I was pale, shaking. The guide asked, "Was it the children?" I nodded slowly. "They love that room," he said.
That's not scary though. They're just children playing. I don't think that's scary. I don't think that is scary. I like kids. Honestly, I wouldn't mind having some ghost kids around. I don't know. Sounds kind of cute.
Almost casually. "We think they belong to the original settlers. They died of illness. Never
Oh,
left."
poor babies.
Visitors report rocking chairs moving on their own, shadow figures darting past doorways.
Yeah, they don't sound like they're bad. They're probably just, you know, they're kids. They're confused. They don't understand what's going on. Like, why are these people always staring at this glowing thing in their pocket? Why are they don't understand what a smartphone is, you know? They've got questions. They've got questions about these strange people.
And icy cold hands brushing against their arms. One paranormal group even recorded a child's voice whispering, "Play with me." I didn't answer. I just walked straight out, and I haven't gone back since. Some games, you don't want to start. 10. RMIT, Building 20. I was a student at RMIT when I first heard the rumors that Building 20 was once part of the old Melbourne lunatic asylum. I didn't believe it. Not really. Until I had to stay late one night. The hallways were empty.
I did date a crazy guy that went to RMIT, so perhaps accurate. Perhaps accurate.
Echoes of my own footsteps bounced off the old stone walls. I was heading to the print room when the lights above me began to flicker. Not all of them, just the ones above me. Like something was following. Then came the laughter, childlike, high-pitched, but twisted, not playful. I turned the corner and saw a door creak open by itself. Inside was a pitch-black room I'd never noticed before. And in that darkness, eyes. Two small, white, glowing eyes staring back at me. I ran. Later, I found out that part of the original asylum still lies beneath the building. Underground tunnels, padded cells, sealed off, but not forgotten. Staff and students have reported cold spots, whispers, and shadow figures that appear just past midnight. Some say the spirits trapped down there were never meant to be released. That Building 20 breathes with them. And if you listen closely, it breathes back. So,
I always thought that was a church or something. I always thought that was a church. It has like such churchy vibes. Anyway, poo-poo sticks.
which of these haunted places would you dare to visit after dark? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more spying.
I would definitely go into the pub with the ghost lady that for some inexplicable reason has a Brazilian. I'd definitely go into that pub if I needed a wee. Like, you know how sometimes I always just go into random pubs and like just to wee. Just to wee. That's the only reason why I would go in there. There's a nice hot point joint next to Building 20. Oh, is that Panda Hot Pot? The one that's got like the massive dragon hanging off the ceiling? Do I believe in mythical creatures like the vampire? I mean, I am Slavic, so I grew up with like a lot of like legends of like the people in my family definitely believe, like the ones that still live in Moravia and the ones that like still live in those areas definitely do believe in that type of stuff. Bro, dying with your legs unshaved would suck because then you'd be stuck with unshaved legs forever. Yeah, 100%. That's why I have laser. That's why I had laser hair removal, so I'm not a hairy-legged ghost because I don't want that. I'm not a vampire. Stop telling people I'm not a vampire. I'm just very pale and can't go out in the sun and need a lot of iron. But that's all because of lupus, okay? I'm not a vampire. Stop spreading the rumor. I am not a vampire. Stop it. Stop it. And I don't age, but that's, you know, that's just luck. That's just good genetics, okay?
Tingling stories from the darkest corners of Australia.
Yeah, I definitely, there does seem to be, you know, stuff in like Eastern Europe. There does seem to be, yeah, like the legends are probably from somewhere. Vampire or werewolf. I'm definitely not a werewolf. Although lupus is supposed to like come from the word wolf. It's supposed to, I don't know. But I feel like lupus matches up more with vampirism than it does with what, like, yeah, than werewolf stuff. I don't know. I don't have any issues with silver or anything like that. And I definitely don't like transport. Woo.
Adelaide may look peaceful, but beneath its charm lies a chilling truth.
Oh, by the way, we're watching a video about Adelaide now. I just realized sometimes I don't even say what I'm doing. I just do it because, I don't know, ADHD. Have I ever played Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines? No, I have not. I must say I have not. I used to like find, you know, vampires hot. Like, I used to be very into that. Not like Twilight, but like more like Anne Rice, Queen of the Damned, like Vampire Lestat kind of. Ooh, I used to like that. I don't know. I don't know. I probably really need to get laid because I seem to be like getting turned on by a lot of a lot of weird things.
From haunted prisons to cursed hotels, these are the top 10 most terrifying places in Adelaide where the dead still whisper, watch, and walk among us. 1. Old Adelaide Gale.
Not the Adelaide
They say the
Gale.
walls of Old Adelaide Gale don't just echo with history, they scream with it. Hidden
Ooh.
behind thick stone walls.
That's hot. That's hot. If a wall can make you scream, that's pretty hot.
In the heart of Adelaide, this prison once housed South Australia's most dangerous criminals. Over 45 souls were executed here, some by hanging. Their final breath.
Do I prefer vampires with more humanoid or with more monster features like bat wings? Definitely the humanoid, because otherwise it feels like you're getting into like furry territory. Feels like I'm getting into like bestiality territory. More just like a hot goth looking dude, you know, that's like likes to nibble on your neck. That's kind of hot. Because that's just hot anyway, even if they're not a vampire. Like, I have a very like long neck, so that's nice. I do like that. I think that's why it's hot.
stolen in the cold silence of the gallows. But death was never the end. Guards still whisper about cell 18, where lights flicker violently and the air drops to ice in seconds. Tourists report hearing heavy boots pacing, yet no one is there. One woman swears she saw a man in an old prison uniform standing just inches from her, face pale, eyes hollow, before he vanished into thin air. And then there's the hanged man, said to roam the corridors at night, his rope burn still visible on his neck. People feel watched, followed, even touched. This isn't just an old building. It's a prison trapped in time, where the dead refuse to leave. Do you believe it's just a story, or are you brave enough to find out yourself?
No, I think I'll give it a miss, thank you. I think I will give it a miss.
Zoo Ward, Glenside. Once sealed.
How did you get Zoo Ward from Z Ward? Get help, mate. Get help. I don't know where any of these places are. Don't think I'm ever gonna have a reason to go to South Australia, gotta say, but...
Tight behind iron gates and sandstone walls, Z Ward in Glenside was never meant for the public. It was built to contain the criminally insane, the most disturbed, violent minds in South Australia's history. And now, it contains something else. Visitors say the air inside feels wrong, heavy, like it's pressing against your chest. In room 7, a former inmate who took his own life is said to whisper your name if you stay too long. Paranormal teams have captured unexplained growls, footsteps in empty halls, and even photos of faces in the window.
It's probably a possum. It's probably a possum that got in and he's just walking around growling because that's what possums like to do. And yeah, that's what they like. That's what they're into.
When no one else was inside. One guard once heard his keys jingle from his belt, only to look down and find them floating midair. And every night, as the sun sets, shadows stretch unnaturally down the hallways. Some swear they've seen a tall, dark figure staring from the end of the corridor, unmoving, until it disappears when you blink. Z Ward was shut down decades ago.
Z Ward, for the love of God.
They may still be waiting.
Sort out your life.
3. Adelaide Arcade. By day, the Adelaide Arcade glows with charm, a vintage shopping haven built in 1885.
Ooh.
But when the last shop closes and the lights go out, something far older wakes up beneath the marble floors. They say it's Francis Clooney, the arcade's caretaker, who died in a horrific accident, electrocuted deep in the basement.
Oh.
Ever since, strange things have happened.
That looks exactly like Royal Arcade in Melbourne. It looks exactly like Royal Arcade in Melbourne. It just has a different sign on it. Suspicious. Very suspicious.
Lights flicker violently. Footsteps echo when no one's around. And shopkeepers arrive to find displays mysteriously rearranged overnight. One security guard quit after hearing someone calling his name from behind a locked shop front.
I want Haig's Chucky.
When he checked the footage, the camera showed no one, just the lights dimming, one by one. In the mirror-lined hallway near the old stairwell, people report glimpses of a man in an old-fashioned coat, staring, expressionless, before vanishing like smoke. This isn't just a shopping arcade. It's a place where the past walks beside you, silently, unseen, until it wants to be noticed. 4. The Barton Theatre. Behind the velvet curtains and faded glamour of the Barton Theatre lies a darkness the audience never sees. Built in the 1920s.
Maybe this ghost can be friends with the Federici ghost or whatever his name is, old mate at the Princess Theatre in Melbourne. They could be pen pals, they could write each other ghost letters, they could send ghost nudes to each other. I don't know how they would facilitate that. You know, they could visit each other at their various theatres. I feel like they could have a nice time together.
20s. This grand old venue has hosted legends. but some say not all the performers ever left. Stagehands whisper of hearing applause in an empty hall. Singers warming up alone have heard someone humming with them, matching every note, from the shadows. One actress fled mid-rehearsal after seeing a woman in white gliding across the balcony, only to vanish when she screamed. The old dressing rooms, ice cold. Mirrors fog up, even on warm days, and sometimes they show faces that aren't yours.
Don't you think that the theater ghosts would make a cute couple? I think they would make a really cute couple. How do we facilitate this? Is there like a getting like in the after, like an afterlife, like dating agency, like realm I could get into? Because I feel like I would be good at that. I feel like I could like be the Tinder of the spiritual realm, you know?
In the backstage corridor, a man's laughter echoes at odd hours, low, mocking, and chilling. No one has ever found its source. The Barton Theater is more than a stage. It's a haunted memory, trapped in endless encore. And if you listen closely, the spirits might still be performing tonight.
Ooh.
5. North Kapunda Hotel. Kapunda. Just an hour north.
Pseudomastix doesn't like MILFs confirmed. Ghost Hinge would suck because everyone would be old. I thought guys were like into like the MILF cougar thing. Or is that just on certain websites that they're into that? I don't know.
North of Adelaide, in the old mining town of Kapunda, stands the North Kapunda Hotel, a place so haunted, it's been called Australia's most terrifying pub. This isn't a ghost story whispered in corners. It's a warning etched in history. Murder, illness, and violence once filled these halls. And the dead? They never checked out. Guests.
It's just the majority of people who die are in their 80s. Yeah, that's a good point. But it wasn't back in the day. That wasn't the case back in the day, especially in colonial Australia. Would have died pretty young, no sanitation. Especially if you were a convict, you would have been just worked to death, because what was the point of of keeping you alive?
Report being shoved by invisible hands. Doors slam on their own.
Do I think ghosts get scared when they see other ghosts? That's a really good question. That is a really good question. I mean, would they just look like... Because they would be on the same plane of existence, right? Maybe it's just... I mean, we get scared when people sneak up on us, right? Like, I'm a very jumpy person. I scream if, like, another human being is just all of a sudden in my peripheral. I'll be Sydney Sweeney and I'll shit my pants. Like, it will be... Yeah, I'll scream.
One woman fainted after feeling someone breathing down her neck, but she was alone in her room. Down in the cellar, once used as a makeshift morgue, investigators captured EVP recordings of screams. One even caught a child's voice crying, "Help me," though no children were on the property. But the most feared spirit is a man in a black coat and wide-brimmed hat. He appears at the end of the hallway, tall, still.
The black coat and wide-brimmed hat, I don't know. That sounds like a hot ghost to me. That sounds like a sexy ghost. I don't know why. I don't know. It just feels very masculine. You feel like a lot of ghosts would have diarrhea since dysentery was a big problem. They would though. They would. Like cholera, dysentery, like they would. They would. A lot of them would have died shitting their pants, 100%.
Watching, and then he's gone. At the North Kapunda Hotel, history doesn't sleep. It waits. 6. Carrick Hill, Springfield. Carrick Hill looks like a fairy tale estate. Grand gardens, stone walls, and English charm. But behind its beauty lies a silence too deep, and shadows that move when no one's near. Built in the 1930s, it was once the lavish home of Sir Edward and Lady Ursula Hayward.
Ooh,
Now,
Ursula Hayward.
Caretakers and guests speak of strange happenings. Footsteps on empty staircases, the scent of old perfume in rooms locked for years, and soft piano music drifting from the drawing room, even though the piano hasn't worked in decades. One staff member claims she heard a woman weeping in the nursery, yet found it completely empty. Another saw a pale figure standing at an upstairs window.
Wait, there are hobbits? There are hobbits there? There are hobbit ghosts? Why is there a hobbit hole? I have questions. I need answers. I must know. I wouldn't bang a hobbit. That would be weird. I would not bang a hobbit. Nah. Just be weird.
The house was closed. And then there's the library, where books fall from shelves without reason. And some say they felt a cold hand brush against theirs while reading. Carrick Hill is a house frozen in time. And perhaps, not everyone inside is gone. Seven. Glen Osmond. Mines. Glen Osmond. Beneath the peaceful Adelaide foothills lie the forgotten tunnels of the Glen Osmond mines, once rich with silver and lead, now rich with fear. In the 1800s, these mines were alive with pickaxes and shouts, but they were also plagued by cave-ins and gas leaks. Many miners were buried alive in total darkness, their bodies never recovered. Locals say their spirits still wander below. Even today, strange noises echo from the sealed shafts, metal clanging, voices
He said
calling
shaft.
out, but no one's there. Some hikers near the entrance report the ground shaking slightly beneath them, as if something moves deep underground.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of tunnels under there. It's probably unstable. I would say the Earth would be moving a lot. What the heck?
One paranormal team entered an abandoned shaft.
Also, a lot of ghosts from the 1800s would be racist as. Yeah, they definitely would. They definitely would be racist and sexist. They definitely would. But I'm very, 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 very pale. So they would be down with me. But, probably. I don't know, actually. They might not because, probably the wrong kind of white. Like, yeah, if they came from Europe, they would definitely, like, not like Slavic people, probably, because, yeah, there's a lot of xenophobia towards Slavic people. Yeah, maybe they wouldn't even bang me. Am I gonna get rejected by ghosts? This is the most depressing revelation ever.
Only to hear breathing behind them. When they turned, there was no one. Just the stale, cold air and a whisper. Don't go further. The mines are off limits now, but some say if you stand nearby at night, you can still hear the trapped souls digging, desperate to be found.
Ooh, number 8.
Stirling Hotel. Stirling. Nestled in the misty Adelaide Hills, the Stirling Hotel welcomes
Not
guests
the misty
with warmth and
hills.
charm. But some say not all its guests are living. This
Ooh.
elegant old building has seen over a century of laughter, loss, and lingering spirits. Staff have reported wine glasses shattering on untouched tables, lights switching on in locked rooms, and footsteps echoing through empty hallways late into the night. But it's the woman in Victorian black that chills even the bravest. She's often spotted near the grand staircase, motionless, hands clasped, eyes hollow. One guest tried to speak to her, thinking she was part of a themed event, but the woman simply vanished before their eyes. In the upstairs rooms, guests wake to the feeling of being watched. Some swear they've heard soft humming in the darkness, like a lullaby from another time.
Ooh.
At the Stirling Hotel, the line between the past and present is paper thin.
Does anyone in chat play any musical instruments or anything? Anything exciting? I'll have to stick to some Valetian vampires. Yeah, but they might be like my ancestors. I mean, not because I'm a vampire, because I have... It's a whole thing. Anyway, some of my ancestors migrated from Valencia to the Czech Republic. They're called Moravian Vlach. It's not because I'm a vampire. Stop. I'm just adding to the rumor, but it's actually historical fact, okay?
and
Look, I will even show you. It's a real thing. It's a real thing, okay? I didn't accidentally just give away my... See, it's a real thing. Moravian Wallachia is a mountainous ethno-region located in the easternmost part of Moravia in the Czech Republic near the Slovak border. And yes, we did come from Transylvania, but look, we're not vampires, okay? But this is where my big fat Czech grandpa came from. Okay, but I'm not a vampire, so just, that wasn't a slip of the tongue, that was a real thing, but look, it's a real thing, okay? So I don't want to hear it. You must bounce on it crazy style. Yes, I have. I am. I have seen it. You must bounce on it crazy style. I have seen it. That's the kind of stuff you think vampires would unironically get up to? Yeah. They'd all be freaks? 100%.
sometimes it breathes right beside you. 9. National Railway Museum, Port Adelaide. By day, the National Railway Museum is a nostalgic wonderland of steel and steam. But when the crowds go home and the lights dim, the silence is broken by something unnatural. This site holds more than just history. It holds residual energy from decades of death, disaster, and despair. Old prison transport cars once carried the condemned, and visitors say they can still feel the fear trapped in the wood and metal.
Ooh.
Night staff have heard footsteps echo across the metal platforms, followed by the sharp slam of a carriage door, even when no one's inside.
Actually, I'll tell you I just remembered another story because of this. So when I was a teenager, my family lived in the Blue Mountains. So therefore, I lived in the Blue Mountains because I was a kid. Don't know why I said that. Anyway, and also basically, like, it's the main freight line, right? For freight to move by train across the country. It goes from like Sydney to like Western Australia, right? So you would always see freight trains, and I swear, me and my friend Stacy, we still talk about this sometimes. Actually, we were on the train station. So obviously these freight trains are going like as fast as possible past the stations, right? Because they're basically, they're basically driving like across the entire continent. They're basically going across the continent, so like they don't stop anywhere. And we swear to God that we saw like a dead guy driving the train, like a guy that was like, his head was hanging there. I mean, he could have been asleep, I guess. He could have, now that I think about it, he could have been asleep, but it looked like his head was sort of hanging and he looked like pale and stuff. Anyway, we were also drunk. We were also like 14 and drunk. So I don't know. Anyway, do with that what you will, I guess. Oh, you play woodwinds. Can you play the flute? I like the flute. The flute is cool. Oh, Joey Nitro's in the building. What's up? Long time no see.
Some swear they've seen a figure in uniform step onto a train, then vanish between the carriages. In the exhibit hall, motion sensors are triggered by nothing. Voices are recorded whispering names, and cold gusts move through sealed compartments like something unseen is brushing past. The National Railway Museum is more than a tribute to travel. It's a station between two worlds, where not every passenger
nicely
made it home. Done. 10. Holdfast Hotel, Glenelg. Just a stone's throw from the beach, the Holdfast Hotel in Glenelg hides a tragic tale behind its historic facade, a tale that refuses to stay buried. Locals whisper of the Lady in White, a sorrowful spirit believed to be a young mother who lost her child in the
Joey has been busy working. How about us? What have we been up to? We've been well, not we, me mostly. I've been I've been developing a weird kink with an attraction to ghosts. I've been like thinking about, oh, what if these ghosts are hot? And then thinking about it. But then chat's been like, no, they would have bad teeth and they would be racist and they would be this. And I'm like, look, stop ruining it, okay? We all have to get our jollies somehow. And you know, I have problems. What can I say?
1800s. She's been seen drifting through hallways, her long dress trailing behind her, her face pale with endless grief. Guests often wake in the middle of the night to hear soft crying outside their doors. But when they open them, the corridor is empty. One couple reported their bathroom tap turning on by itself, moments after a sudden cold gust swept through their room. Staff have spotted lights flickering violently in rooms with no power issues. Others refuse to go into the basement alone, not after hearing someone whisper, "Where is he?" from the dark. At the Holdfast Hotel, time stands still for a grieving soul. And if you listen closely, you might hear her searching still. So, would you dare visit any of these haunted places alone? Or
No.
have you already walked through one?
Unless I need to wee. I'll only go into a haunted pub if, like, I don't want to get a UTI, and if there's, like, nowhere to take a cheeky bush wee, I would definitely. What video are we watching? We're watching 10 haunted places in Adelaide that locals fear to enter. You remember drinking on those couches with the boys? Oh, have you been there? What's it like? Was it scary? Were there any hot people alive or dead in the building? We have to know. I'm trying to open a block of chocolate and I'm having a lot of trouble. Please, Kit Kat, I need you in my mouth. There we go. I did it. Because I want to be able to reseal it. So, sorry if you hear like nom nom noises. I have Kit Kat gooey caramel. Delicious. I'm gonna just have a little bit of a Kit Kat finger in my mouth. I'd rather have a ghost finger in my mouth, but you know, we take what we can get. We take what we can get. Sorry, that probably sounds really gross. I'll mute it. Hang on. I'll check Discord. Hang on. Sorry, I really wanted a piece of chocolate, so I'm... Yeah, I have a Discord. I do have a Discord. Oh, we got a Jack the Ripper recommendation from Ricochet for. Let me have a look.
So you want to start a business? I'm thinking a team of people into tech skill.
Excuse me. How dare you start playing ads? Thank you, Joey. Joey Nitro just subscribed for 2 months with Prime. Thank you. What kind of chocolate is it? It's a Kit Kat gooey caramel, like the block. It's always on special. It's always on special, but I actually like it. So it's usually like, it's supposed to be like $7 full price, but you can usually get it for like $3.50. Hello, Akif. What's up? Vegas the Ripper. Okay, I'll have a look. I'll have a look at this Ricochet. Is this the right one? Yeah, this is the right one. Okay, this was recommended by Hyperbovian. So let's go, I guess. Not Hyperbovian, Ricochet. Guys, sorry, I was thinking about chocolate. I got confused. I was actually deep in thought about chocolate. I also have, what do I have here? I have a Rockaby Farms strawberry protein drink. Has anyone here tried the protein drinks from Rockaby? They're really good. They have a strawberry one now. It's really good. You are fine. You're traveling by train. You're going from east to south in Germany. Ooh, that sounds fun. You're a brown cow. That's where Chocky comes from. That is where chocolate milk comes from. Apparently, I don't know if this is true, but apparently a lot of Americans thought that chocolate milk came from brown cows. I don't know how accurate that is, but I have heard that. Hang on, guys. I'm going to be back in like 2 seconds. I just going to grab myself a little something. Whoops, sorry guys, muted. This is oh, shush you. I'm talking, lady. You'll have to wait your turn, okay? Thank you. How rude. How freaking rude. The manners on some people these days. This is a video recommendation from Ricochet. It is called Vegas the Ripper. Viral TikTok theory by Sure Genius compilation video. I don't know. Let's see. Let's have a gander, a propaganda.
The fact that I think that Edgar Degas, painter of ballerinas, was Jack the Ripper.
A girl named Needy reached out to me from India, where TikTok is banned, and said that she had seen a copy of my video on another video channel and had wanted to see all of my videos, but since they're only on TikTok, she wasn't able to view them. So I thought I'd do a quick supercut of all of the media I've made about Degas potentially being Jack the Ripper.
The name is Degas and I thought it was Degas. I'm not a smart person. I'm not a cultured person. Anyway, let's continue.
And so we'll start with the viral video, which is not in order, and then everything else will go in order. All right, enjoy.
My Roman Empire is the fact that I think that Edgar Degas, painter of ballerinas, was Jack the Ripper. Hear me out.
Wait, is that the same lady? Is that the same lady? Wow, that's amazing. TikTok filters be filtering, hey. Like, no offense to her, she's a nice lady. But I thought these were two different people. Wow.
We all know that Jack the Ripper killed women, specifically ones that he probably mistook for women of the night. At the time of the murders, Edgar Degas was in his early 50s and was beginning to really hate women. He'd always been a bit of a misogynist, but he was degrading into a horrible, awful misanthrope of a person that people did not want to be around. And part of that was that he was going blind. With modern technology, we know that most psychopaths and all serial killers have a dead spot in their brain right behind their eyes. And Degas had Stargardt's disease, we believe, because he had a hereditary disease that caused blindness over time. In Stargardt's disease, the area behind the eyes, the orbital frontocortex, occipital lobe area, can go black. No gray matter activity in that region when the loss of visual input causes decay. So I believe that over time he gradually became a worse and worse person because his ability to make good decisions was just being destroyed. This does not happen with everyone who has Stargardt's, by the way, but he was already a pretty shitty human being. He was also wealthy, well-connected, and he lived in Paris, which was just a short train ride away from London where the murders occurred. A year later, his friend Whistler of Whistler's mother chided him for not coming for lunch any longer. Whistler lived in London. Apparently Degas was fond of just taking a train in, having lunch with Whistler, and going home. Degas took a 2-week trip down to southern France for 2 of the murders, and during that time he sent a ton of letters to all his most famous friends, and friends he'd never before written to, as far as we know. The only letter that they ever wrote that we have to this day is the letter that he wrote during the murders. So I have to wonder if he was setting himself up an alibi, because why did he write to all of these society gossips, these long, pages-long letters that are full of witticisms and quips that he hoped...
People were saying that they solved Jack the Ripper with DNA. I swear I saw that recently. They were saying they solved it with DNA and it was like some Jewish hairdresser. Hang on. Panya, little fishy in the sea. Barber, that's what they're called. Boy hairdressers, barbers. Jack the Ripper killed by barber. DNA. DNA evidence from a bloodstained shawl has reportedly identified Aaron Kosminski, a 23-year-old Polish barber, as Jack the Ripper. Historian Russell Edwards purchased the shawl in 2007 and conducted forensic testing that allegedly found a 100% DNA match between the shawl and descendants of Kaminsky and victim Catherine et al.'s. The results have led some to call for a new inquest to potentially bring closure to the victim's family. Sweeney Todd style, 100%. Turn them into pies. Turn them all into pies. I had a massive crush on Edward Scissorhands when I was a kid. Like, I had a massive crush on Edward Scissorhands. Not Johnny Depp, just Edward Scissorhands. Thought he was so hot. Anyway. Nothing wrong with me. Nothing wrong with me and my brain. Let's continue. You think the source of DNA was contaminated? I mean, yeah, it's pretty likely. But that's interesting nonetheless. I mean, we'll never know. We'll never know definitively. There's just been too much time. Too much time has elapsed. But it is interesting to hear all the theories
that they would share about things that were scheduled in advance, like plays. If you look at the number of letters he wrote during that 2 to 3 week span, it's more than most years in the 5 years after and the 5 years before. We also wonder if Jack the Ripper was a surgeon because he removed several organs and knew where they were and where to cut in the neck in order to cause death, because he had a good grasp on anatomy. But other people questioned whether he could be a surgeon because he had an unsteady hand and didn't cut like a surgeon. He just knew where everything was. Well, Degas was a classically trained artist. He had attended human dissections, probably multiple times. He was also obsessive about knowing every detail about how a body worked, and he called women similar to horses, like animals, like things that he wanted to know every motion of. And so the fact that Jack the Ripper dissected Mary Jane Kelly does not surprise me in the least. Because who would have wanted to spend multiple hours dissecting a body other than Degas? And the fact that they think that Jack the Ripper spent a few hours there, at the very least 2 hours, but not very much longer, does not surprise me either, because the interest that Degas would have in the body after rigor mortis set in would be nil. And rigor mortis begins to set in after 2 hours. So once the corpse started showing signs of not behaving normally, he was out. Dark as that is. The third and the fourth murders of the 5 canonical Jack the Ripper victims were done on the same night, and they seem to be trying to be pinned on Jewish people for whatever reason. There's
the DNA evidence. I don't think it's a conspiracy theory. Who's like, oh, let's look up famous historical for crimes and try to turn it into anti-Semitism. That's a reach, lady. That is a reach. I need to get some of these filters. That did not look like the same lady. I've never used like TikTok like with my, I've only used it for like clips of VTubing. I've never used it before, so I didn't know, like, because I don't use filters on my photos because I want to look back on my life and see my real face, you know what I mean? But that's crazy. No wonder everyone's got body dysmorphia. Far out.
An interesting thing you should look up if you're not familiar with it, called the Golston Street Graffito, which was written on a wall and above the apron of one of the victims. And in chalk, the man we think as Jack the Ripper wrote, "The Jews are the men who will not be blamed for nothing," which is not an English grammatical pattern, and he wrote Jews in a way that no English speaker would spell it. And he wrote it in chalk, and Degas was a pastel art.
Well, the guy that was supposedly Jack the Ripper, according to DNA evidence, he was Polish. So would he perhaps have written in a way that somebody that had English as a second language? Touche, lady. I don't know why I'm like trying to fight with this lady. I don't know her. I am. Look, I will say my uterus is shedding at the moment, and I am cranky. I am a cranky witch.
Artist who would likely have carried chalk on him at all times. Further, Edgar Degas was a notorious anti-Semite. He hated Jewish people and that would become eminent.
See you, Joey. Thanks for hanging out.
Clear only a few years later during the Dreyfus affairs, where he loudly and proudly spoke out against yes, he was a bad guy in general. Also, Degas' obsession with painting ballerinas and women who were not watching, and his weird voyeurism in his subject matters, is not surprising if you compare it to Jack the Ripper's MO, because Jack the Ripper targeted women and thought very little of them. Look at Degas' art. He's painting ballerinas. Ballerinas were very commonly prostitutes. And the way that he painted them with
Wait, what? People always ask me if I'm a ballerina. I thought it was because of like my build and I had good posture. Wait, are they asking me if I'm a hooker? LJ Hooker, you're the best. I thought it was a compliment. I thought it was a compliment because I like have my hair in a bun a lot and I kind of have that build. I'm offended. I'm so offended right now. But a lady, last time I was in Sydney, a lady came up to me on George Street and she was like, oh, excuse me, do you, like this French lady, because she had a French accent, and she was like, oh, excuse me, do you know where Block is? And that's the ballet store that sells like ballet stuff. And I was like, oh no, I don't, sorry. And I looked it up on my phone and then I told her where to go. Because I am from Sydney, so when I saw the address, I was able to tell her what road to go down and stuff. But yeah. Did she think I was a hoku too? Do I just look like a hooker? Why are ballerinas hookers all of a sudden? I'm very, very, You've never heard of ballerinas being prostitutes, but you have heard of Russians and Slavs being called that? Yeah. No, it's very, very common. It is very common. Yeah, like if you, yeah, like you're a mail order bride and this, that, and the other. It is very common. Like there's a lot of, yeah, people are just stupid with their racial stereotypes, but whatever. I like having hot people genes. Just jealousy.
Of the man trying to arrange a tryst with them later that night. Look at how many of his paintings are all about that woman's body and have no face. Look at all of his pastels where the darkest line on the woman is the line cut across her neck of a ribbon tied around there. Look at his technical masterpiece of a work which is called Interior, but is colloquially known amongst art historians.
He does sound like he fits the bill, to be fair. Like this is a compelling, I would say this is a compelling argument. I would say that. Yeah, we'll just never know. There's no way to definitively know. Everything's too old. Everything's been contaminated. Obviously, we can't interview like contemporaneous witnesses. There's no way that we'll ever know. We'll just have to forever speculate.
Historians as le viol, which means the rape. Jack the Ripper did not SA his women. He just killed them. He had no interest in them in that way, and neither did Edgar Degas. He wanted to know their inner workings. He did not like them. But other than that, he had no interest in them. And those are the thoughts that I cannot get out of my head. Did this artist get away with murder? Did he steal organs? Did he perhaps put them in his wax sculptures? Wax, the medium often used to preserve.
How does she know all of this? Was she there? I think she's got a lot of spare time on her hands, Delta, and we all need a hobby. Look, we all need a hobby. We all need a hobby. She's obviously gone through this guy's works. Like, it sounds like he might have been a famous artist. I've never heard of him because I am not a cultured person. I am just a hybrid of a goth bogan. You know, that's my pedigree. I don't go around like reading Victorian era French painters freaking body of work or whatever, but this lady does, and that's what she's into. So she's analyzed all of his paintings, she's analyzed his medical history, she's gone through everything, and you know, yeah, we all need hobbies, so it's all right. Oh, where'd her sound go? Oh, I blocked it. No.
Jack the Ripper did not SA his women. He just killed them. He had no interest in them in that way, and neither did Edgar Degas. He wanted to know their...
The next time someone asks me if I'm a ballerina, should I slap them? I didn't know they were calling me a hooker. What the hell? I don't even dress like a hooker anymore. How rude.
Inner workings. He did not like them. But other than that, he had no interest in them. And those are the thoughts that I cannot get out of my head. Did this artist get away with murder? Did he steal organs? Did he perhaps put them in his wax sculptures? Wax, the medium often used to preserve organs at the time. And we've x-rayed some of them and found that they contain organic material. Do the pretty paintings of ballerinas that hang in little girls' rooms to this day, were they painted by a murderer?
This series of videos is a long what if. What if Edgar Degas was Jack the Ripper? Degas is an attractive suspect for many reasons. One, he was aristocratic, he had wealth and power and connections. He could have gotten away with murder. Two, he was a noted misogynist. Jack the Ripper's victims were all women who had had womanly parts removed. Murderer has long been suspected of being a misogynist. Degas was also an artist, which actually is subject of a video later on why that is a whole slew of evidence. In 1880, Degas was 50.
Wiki says the Paris Opera Ballet would prostitute the dancers to patrons. That's disgusting. Disgusting behavior. What more would we expect from the French though? I mean, you gotta ask these questions, dirty buggers. I.e. traffic and pimp. Yeah, I got the implication. I don't know. Not really surprised, honestly.
He was beginning to lose his vision. It was affecting his art, but he was still getting around well. As an American whose justice system starts to believe that everybody is innocent until proven guilty, it is only natural to begin with Degas' alibi. And he did have an alibi. These murders began with Polly Nichols on August 31st of 1888 and ended on November 9th with Mary Kelly's death. Degas lived in Paris, far away from London where the murders took place. So was he in Paris at the time? Actually, no. Degas spent the last portion of August and much of September in the Pyrenees Mountains convalescing for an illness he had suffered. The reason that we know this is that he sent a bunch of letters from his hotel in Cauterets, France, which I may be mispronouncing. I'm sorry if you speak French. The letters were mailed from his hotel, which was a place of business. They spoke of things in the town, and they also spoke of some plays and events that had been scheduled in advance and would have occurred while he was there. So that would absolve him if you take it at surface value. He did write a lot of letters. He wasn't feeling well. He was in his hotel room most of the day when he wasn't seeing doctors. So perhaps, yes, maybe he wrote more letters than he normally would. But it was a lot more letters than he normally would. And they were much more likely to survive to the present day because he wrote them to very famous people. A scholar of art named Theodore Reff was kind enough to put together a compendium with English translation of Degas' letters. It's a $240 book. I got it out of the library. Between 1880 and 1887, Degas wrote about 2 letters a month. And a lot of the ones that survive are just things like, hey, you owe me money, or I'll deliver that painting when I deliver that painting. During the 19-day span that Degas sent letters from the Pyrenees, Degas wrote 14 letters, which would have been about 7 months. If you're going to continue watching this series of videos, the first thing you need to ask yourself is whether or not you believe that this is plausible alibi. This time period does cover the first 2 murders. If he was in the Pyrenees, he could not...
I mean, it does seem out of character for him to write, like, friendly letters letting you know what he's up to. It does seem like, you know, it does seem plausible that he could be, you know, covering his own ass. Yeah, I don't know. It's not like they had CCTV footage back there. He could have just paid somebody in that town to mail them, you know. Who knows? Who knows?
Jack the Ripper as we know him. So what do you think? Does that absolve him? Will you not watch these videos now? Not want to learn more?
I personally believe that at this point it is impossible to know who committed the 5 grisly murders that we know as Jack the Ripper's work. The murders occurred in London in 1888, long before police forensics were anywhere near what they are today. Further, because of the fame and notoriety, a lot of the physical evidence has since disappeared from police files. So since it's impossible to prove without the shadow of a doubt the identity of Jack the Ripper, if there really was one murderer for all 5 victims, instead let's talk about Edgar Degas, the famous artist of pastels and ballerinas. Edgar was born in 1834 and died in 1917. He was a contemporary of the murders. In fact, he was just over 50 when they occurred. If you are a student of art history, you probably know that Degas started to lose his vision as he grew older. And if you're a fan of true crime and serial killers, you'll probably know that there's a portion of the brain that is a dead zone in people who are serial killers.
Professor Fallon of UC Irvine has scanned many brains of psychopaths and murderers and has concluded
It changes the word, the captions change the word murder to the word Murdochs, and I think that's very apt. I think that is very apt when you think about the Murdoch family. I don't know, this lady's got a lot of time on her face, and time on her hands, I meant to say. I honestly wouldn't believe she should be consistent with like the filter that she uses, because I keep on thinking it's another lady. Even her voice sounds different when she's got the filter on. It's really weird. It's really unnerving. And why do girls want to have freckles now? I remember when I was little, I had freckles and I used to get called a freckle fart. And I was so depressed about having freckles. I used to try and wash them off. And now, now girls are drawing freckles on their face. Mine went away. Mine went away by the time I was like a teenager, but I used to have them when I was little and I used to hate them. You have freckles everywhere. Oh, I like freckles. Freckles are cute, but yeah, I used to get paid out for them as a kid. I used to get called a freckle fart.
the area of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, specifically the portion of your brain right behind your eyes, the orbitofrontal cortex, is a dead zone in those who have planned and carried out multiple murders. Edgar Degas recognized.
Hyperbovian says the serial killer dead zone brain is also pseudoscience. The pattern they find is the same in the general population. Yeah, a lot of these people, look, if you're not a neurologist or you're not a criminologist and you don't actually study this stuff, it's very easy for people to just, yeah. It's you got to take it all with a grain of salt. But look, it's still interesting. It's still a somewhat compelling case. I would say it's compelling. But I always thought it was really nice when people asked me if I was a ballerina or told me that I looked like a ballerina. I was like, yeah, I'm a little gothic ballerina. Look at me. And now I might have been being called a prostitute. Excuse me. I give it away for free like an idiot, okay, to people that I love like a moron, okay? Thank you.
The disease he was getting and the blindness that he suffered from, because it was a hereditary disease other members of his family also suffered. As a result of the age of onset and several other characteristics of the disease he described, and the fact that it was hereditary, many people believe this disease to be Stargardt's disease, although it is impossible to know for sure. In a completely unrelated note, the orbitofrontal cortex is stimulated by visual input, and as someone goes blind, that region of the brain can go quiet. Activity in that brain would go as dark as if you were a psychopath. Edgar Degas was always famous for his misogyny, but it worsened as he aged. Vincent van Gogh and his brother Theo would write letters to each other and comment about his hatred of women. He was also publicly anti-Semitic, which came up during the Dreyfus affair. All 5 canonical victims of Jack the Ripper were women, and they were also spicy workers, if you know what I mean. Edgar Degas is most famous for his painting.
They worked at a Korean restaurant and they had spicy chicken. I would like that.
Of ballerinas. Most of them are actually pastels. Something that you might not be aware of is that at that time, many ballerinas funded their art through spicy work on the side. The youngest ballerinas at the time were known as the Little Rats in Paris. And the only statue that Degas ever completed and displayed was called Little Dancer.
Hyperbovian says, if he was getting brain damage, how could he make this plan? You don't buy it? Everyone was misogynist and anti-Semitic at the time, especially the French. Well, the French probably still are, to be fair. I don't think the French have really changed much. I still feel like French people are very misogynistic. I don't know, like I did notice that like the men in France were like way more like forthcoming when they would hit on you in like a way that was like almost aggressive. It would make you feel like oof, like, you know, not, yeah, it was not great. They do seem to be quite sex pesty, I will say.
Age 14. Camille Laurence wrote an excellent book with that title, Little Dancer, Age 14, and I would recommend you read it. It is a study of the girl who posed for Degas. It is also the story of of the author trying to find information about a girl who disappeared off the face of the planet. Just a few short years after posing for Degas, she disappeared entirely. There's no record of her after that time. Miss Laurent says that she was caught trying to flee the country with her older sister, and that's the last record of her in history. When Degas released this statue, most of society hated it. They were shocked and offended by it, in part because he dressed it in a costume. By dressing the statue in a costume, it was very clear that the statue had no costume on, and neither had the little girl posing for it.
Yeah, that's a bit suspicious.
In 1888, Degas faced a lot of criticism for that, and he never again showed any of his works in public. Another reason it was criticized was that he made these statues of wax, which was not a material used at the time. However, it was a material used to preserve organs. Degas continued to create statues throughout his life, and he never publicly displayed them. He had them in his studio, and he would often remold and remake them throughout his lifetime. The wax original of the Little Dancer age 14 is available, and it has been run through X-rays. You can find those online and the comments about them. The statue is said to be full of organic material. There is no further commentary on that. Some of it is paintbrush handles and wood, but other than that, it's just listed as organic material. Degas kept very detailed diaries. However, his diaries end before 1888, despite the fact that he lived till 1917. Degas' family came into possession of his studio. He had no children. It was his cousins and his aunts and uncles and nephews who took apart his estate and sold off everything they could. They also recast the Little Dancer in bronze as many times as they could without damaging the original, and sold that for a huge profit. And they were eager to capitalize on his good name, whatever good name was left at that point. On a completely unrelated note, of the canonical 5, most of the victims had at least part of an organ missing after investigation was done.
I don't know, what do you think? Do you think this is as compelling as the barber's DNA on the shawl? Like, what are your thoughts and opinions? Because I don't know, like, this lady's obviously done a lot of research, and it does sound like feasible, but then I think, I don't know. Could be.
For the most part, these organs were not found. One portion of one organ was thought to perhaps have been mailed to Scotland Yard, although the veracity of that is unknown. There was no DNA testing at the time. So where was Degas during these murders? So was Degas in Paris during the murders? Well, actually, it's pretty clear that he wasn't for at least a few of them. Many letters were mailed from a respite, a retreat up in the mountains, a very remote town in the Alps in the southern region of France. And Degas wrote to all of his most famous friends long and poetic letters about activities that were going on at the time. I've read translations of these letters. Thank you to Neff for those. He's an amazing scholar. And although they mention
Scholar and a gentleman, I assume,
and plays that would have been scheduled in advance, there's not much to actually prove his presence there if you were a very suspicious person. However, unfortunately, I don't speak French, so tracking down his exact whereabouts on all of the days of the murders,
There's a lot for more info and correlations. Yeah, I mean, it does sound very plausible. Like, it does sound very, very plausible. It is definitely like a compelling, it's definitely building a compelling case. But the thing is, like, it was so long ago, like, there's no way to ever know. It's always going to be one of those things that, you know, yeah, no one's ever going to be able to solve it definitively. It's just not going to happen.
Unable to do. If you speak French or you know of a good art historian who would like to look this up, that's cool. Anyway, this video is getting really long and it's getting really late, and I'd love to go into the Gall Street Manifesto and all of and how this ties into his anti-Jewish sentiments. and how that ties back also to the fact that Jack the Ripper might have been anti-Semitic. And but I just am exhausted, so I'm gonna have to save that for another video if you want it.
Is it possible that Jack the Ripper was also the artist behind the ballerina posters that hang in little girls' rooms to this day? Unfortunately, I haven't been able to prove to myself that Edgar Degas, the French impressionist that was most famous for painting ballerinas, was not also responsible for 5 unsolved murders of ladies of the night in London in 1888. At the time, Degas was just over 50, his vision had diminished, but he was not yet fully blind, and he lived in Paris, which was only 300 plus miles away.
Oh,
Even in
only.
1888, it
Let's
was
go for a
easily
day
possible
trip.
to travel from London to Paris and back very quickly via train. In fact, fellow artist Whistler of Whistler's mother lived in London, and just a few years later wrote a letter to Degas chiding him for not dropping by for lunch any longer. Edgar Degas was often the subject of gossip. In fact, many letters to this day survive and discuss in particular his misogyny. Even Vincent van Gogh wrote to his brother Theo about how much Edgar hated women. And Degas' subject matter, ballerinas? Well, you might not be familiar with this. Ballerinas were well known for selling their time after the show in arrangements often handled by their mothers backstage. In fact,
Yuck.
some of Degas' pastels and paintings depict that particular transaction occurring as the dancer is on stage. You can see these dark shadows in the background of what otherwise look like very pretty little paintings. One of Degas' most famous works, though, is his statue, the only statue that he ever displayed during his lifetime, and that's called Little Dancer of 14 Years. I could make an entire video about how creepy that statue is, and I probably will, but for now, there is an excellent book by the prize-winning French journalist Camille Laurens about a girl who posed for the statue. Despite her thorough and nearly obsessive research, Miss Laurens was unable to find anything about this girl after a police record of her being stopped at the French border. Her older sister had stolen a large sum of money, and they were both attempting to flee the country. After the Parisian salon where the statue was displayed, that girl disappeared from history. And that's only the first in a series of coincidences that leaves me deeply unsettled about this artist. Let me know if you want to hear more. I have to say thank you to you all. After that last video about Jack the Ripper, I was not thinking I'd make another one, but your encouragement has been very positive, so it's a little bit more about why Edgar Degas creeps me out so much that I wonder if he could be Jack the Ripper. In particular, I want to talk about the Gulfstream Street Manifesto, which is an anti-Semitic post that was written on the wall. September 30th, 1888 was the double murder date. And before Catherine Eddowes' body was found, a portion of her bloody apron was located, and it was located just below a chalk inscription written on a wall, and it said, "The Jews are the men that will not be blamed for nothing." We do not have a photograph of the chalk writing because it was written in a Jewish neighborhood, obviously intending to blame the murders on Jewish people, and so the police at the time feared violence, and they took it down using a sponge. But before they did, they tried to copy it down as best they could. Anti-Semitism in both London and Paris was deeply troubling at the time. This was only a few years before the Dreyfus affair would break out, when Degas revealed himself to be so notoriously anti-Semitic. And both murders that night appeared to be anti-Semitically motivated. Elizabeth Stride was murdered right outside of a meeting of socialists that was attended almost primarily by Jewish men. When Elizabeth's body was found, it was found mostly by Jewish men, and the police report wrote that she was surrounded by Jews. So it could be that the murderer was attempting to frame Jewish men, or it could be that he thought she was prostituting herself to Jewish men. Also, there were 2 witnesses who thought they might have seen Jack the Ripper prior to Elizabeth Stride's murder. One of the men, last name Schwartz, said that the murderer had called out Lipsky to an associate. However, in police correspondence to each other, they pointed out that it may have been that the murderer was shouting a racial slur at the man, Mr. Schwartz, who simply did not understand it because he was new to the country. So yeah, anti-Semitism was a thing. Now, as for the suspicion of the Jews are the men who will not be blamed for nothing,
First off, it's not really an English grammatical.
This video is so long, Ricochet. I think I'm gonna have to finish it. I think I'm gonna have to finish it later. Do you have a TLDR? Do you have a summation? Because I know it's a compilation of TikToks, but it's just there's a lot of repetition. Let me see if there's anything up ahead that's new. Is that like a smoking gun? Who's this lady? She was a killer. She has a time machine and she went back in time and she was Jack the Ripper. I mean, she does have red hair. She does have red hair. Is she trustable? I don't know. We don't know. Ah! My tailbone hurts. I've been sitting on my bum all day long.
Pattern. Double negatives don't exist in English. Further, the spelling of Jews is just definitely not English.
Has she not heard of not everybody having the same access to education? A lot of people in current day use double negatives because they don't know that they're grammatically incorrect. Not all people have the same access to education. It's got nothing to do with intelligence or whatever. It's usually to do with like socioeconomic status and mimicking the speech patterns of those around you. Like if everybody around you, like if you live in a low socioeconomic area and everyone around you pronounces things incorrectly or uses incorrect grammar, you just grow up thinking that's how you speak. Because I had to unlearn a lot of I had to basically teach myself like grammar as an adult, and it was very, very hard. And yeah, this is just a lady that doesn't know that working class and underclass people exist. There's no double negatives in the English language. Have you ever heard, we don't need no education? It's as Moss from the IT crowd would say, yes, you do. You've just used a double negative. And that's just one example. That's a lot of There's a playlist of all the shorts. I've got another stream coming up. Yeah, I am going to stream again tonight. Just the normal stream. But yeah, like this lady must have a very sheltered life if she thinks that people that have English as a first language don't use double negatives. I had a lot of trouble with grammar because it wasn't really something that I learned at school. I still sometimes have trouble with grammar because it's just not something that people from my background prioritize, right? English even has a double positive? Probably. I don't know. Like, my point is, like, it doesn't mean anything. Like, the education levels in Dickensian London, especially amongst, like, the lower classes, not going to be great, right? They're not going to be great. People are going to spell things phonetically. People with low education levels still do that. As I said, it's got nothing to do with education. It's got nothing to do with intelligence and everything to do with like access to education. And yeah, that's why the accent even varies like through social class, right? Because you're going to talk like the people that are around you, right? And if people around you don't pronounce things properly or they don't use proper grammar, that's the way you are also going to form your sentences, because where else are you going to learn to do it? You can't learn these things through osmosis. You have to literally be shown how to construct a sentence, right? You literally have to be shown how these things work. So, yeah, look, she's obviously, a very well-to-do lady, and that's fine. No judgments. But to suggest that people to this day use double negatives, it's stupid. Yeah, maybe you're Zion fatigue, but she's gone on a lot about the DNA being anti-Semitic and pinning this on some random artist. I'm sure you can make some supporting arguments for literally every contemporaneous person to be Jack the Ripper and or Shakespeare. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That just annoys me. That just annoys me. Like, oh, it's not spelt properly and they used a double negative, yada yada yada. Like, she doesn't know that like poorly educated people don't exist. I don't know. It just goes to show, like, you know, you've kind of lived in a gilded cage, lady. You don't seem to know much about the world. Like, I'm a social worker. I know. Do I know the theory of that Jack the Ripper migrated to Melbourne? That would be sick. That would be sick. I want to look into that actually. But I'm a social worker, right? I have had clients who are illiterate. In this day and age, they cannot read or write, and it's heartbreaking. They've just somehow fallen through the cracks. Nobody's cared enough. No one's cared enough to notice that they can't read, or no one's cared enough. They have noticed that they can't read, and these teachers at their schools or whatever haven't sat down with them and teach them to read. Like, I've had to go help mothers and fathers enroll their children in school and things like that because they can't fill in the forms. They can't fill in the forms at like the front office to enroll their kids in school. They need help. Like, it's so sad. Like, adult illiteracy is something that exists in this day and age, you know, with all the access that we have to education in Australia. So I don't know, this is just like such a privileged, like using double negatives. Well, clearly it must be someone that has English as a second language. No, it's just literally someone that hasn't been formally educated or has had a very like rudimentary like education in English. You know, they maybe just learned how to sound letters out, and that would account for all of it. Like, some of the most famous songs in the world have like double negatives and stuff in it. It's a colloquial way of speaking that a lot of people have those speech patterns, you know. What are you putting in chat, Delta? All I can see is stars. It's been censored. You've been censored.
A native French speaker might be more likely to spell it that way. Also, the manifesto was written in chalk, and Degas was a pastel artist. The concept of him having chalk with him at all times is pretty likely. On October 6th, the Times reported that the coroner, Dr. Phillips, had examined the knife found next to Elizabeth and had found it to be a common type of knife used by chandlers called a slicing knife. Now, it should be noted that a chandler is a candle maker. They work in wax. Mentioned in a previous video, was an artist of sculpture as well, but unlike most sculptors at the time, he did not work in bronze or clay. He worked in wax. So the odds that he would have wax cut.
Anyway, I reckon we'll finish this later, Ricochet. We will have a look at it though. I do find this really interesting, I must say. It is quite interesting. But we might look at a short one to finish things off. And there's a 7 News article too. Ooh. Jack the Ripper Melbourne. Let's have a look. Sounds exciting. Do 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 do. What one should I read? There's a 7 News article. Okay, let's try 7. Is it this one with the eye patch man? Oh no, the eye patch man, he's gonna get me. Scared. Jack the Ripper suspects. Was killer Frederick Deeming hanged in Australia? The clues fit. A British murderer whose movements, MO, and demeanour aligned closely with those of the Ripper. Could it have been him? It's one of the greatest murder mysteries in history, the identity of the heinous serial killer Jack the Ripper, whose gruesome crimes played out in Victorian England more than a century ago. Sorry, just to go back to that other lady, I can't believe that lady doesn't know that, like, dyslexia exists and that, like, non-rich people exist. Fucking hell, lady. But was there an Australian connection to the series of grisly murders? And was a British man named Frederick Deeming hanged in Australia in 1892 in fact Jack the Ripper? Perhaps Jack the Ripper. Wait, did I read that right? Discovery made in Liverpool. A man arrested in Australia. Screamed the New York Times headline in March 17th, 1892. The story began. Liverpool, March 16th. The police of the city have been pursuing an inquiry into the disappearance of a woman and her children who formerly lived at Rainhill, a part of Liverpool. Like Liverpool, Sydney, Liverpool? The inquiry was started in connection with the arrest at Melbourne, Australia of a man named Williams who is charged with murdering a woman there. Albert Williams was an alias of Frederick Deeming, a globe-trotting serial killer and fraudster dubbed the criminal of the century. So what of the theories that Deeming was Jack the Ripper? Ripper victims. There are 5 victims strongly believed to have died at the hands of Jack the Ripper. All were prostitutes working the dank lanes and seedy pubs of Whitechapel, near to London's docks. The first victim was Mary Ann Nichols on the 31st of August 1888, stabbed multiple times. The second was Annie Chapman, yada yada yada. Catherine Eddowes. Family disappearance. The disappeared woman and children mentioned in the New York Times article in March 1892 were Deeming's wife Marie James and their 4 children, Bertha 9, Marie 7, Sydney 5, and Layla just 18 months old. Police later found Deeming had murdered them and buried them in cement under the floor of the Rainhill house he'd rented under the alias of Albert Williams. All had their throats slashed from left to right. Following Marie's death, Deeming married Emily Mather. The newlyweds danced their wedding night waltz at Rainhill, right above where he'd buried the unfortunate Marie and their children. Years later, having moved from the UK to Melbourne, Deeming struck again. Freudian slip. Killing Emily around Christmas 1891. She was the Melbourne victim mentioned in the New York Times report. In March 1892, John Stamford, a butcher who owned the Melbourne rental property where Deeming had lived in the months prior, took a prospective tenant to inspect. A disagreeable smell prompted Stamford to call the police. Officers found Emily's body buried in the cement under a fireplace in the bedroom. Deeming, thinking Emily had been planning to leave him, had murdered her in a swift and brutal attack with a tomahawk. Then he slashed her throat from left to right. Who was Deeming? Frederick Deeming was of average height, quite good looking, powerfully built, and sported a luxuriant moustache. Ooh. Outwardly, he was charming and persuasive, helpful qualities he would later deploy in a career as a conman and seducer. He was born on the 30th of July, 1853, the middle child of 10 in Leicestershire, United Kingdom. At 12, he was a plumber's apprentice. He turned his private obsession for knives into a side business, making them to sell to sailors. Deeming bragged that by 18, he had seen more life than most men ever see. I had killed a man too. It was partly on accident, but it changed my life. The brag may have had a kernel of truth. A teenage Deeming found a woman, Min Cooper, dead on the front footstep of his home. Her throat was cut, although the direction is not reported. Deeming was a suspect in the Cooper death, a case which was never solved. Not long after, he ran away to sea. His travels frequently took him to London's dock area and nearby Whitechapel, where he indulged his taste for prostitutes. The move to Australia in 1881, Deeming had married his first wife, well-to-do Birkenhead woman Marie James, with whom he would have 4 children. The next year he went to Australia and she followed him a year later. Deeming worked as a gas fitter in Sydney and later in Melbourne and Rockhampton with a sideline as a thief. This does sound plausible. Timely departure. Deeming departed Sydney from Melbourne before police could question him. He had spent time in Sydney's Darlinghurst jail for thefts and debts, and incarceration was an experience he had no desire to repeat. With police and creditors at his heels, he and his family, which now included 2 children, left for London in 1887. On the way, they were kicked off the ship on the tiny South Atlantic island of St. Helena after Deeming tried to swindle fellow passengers. After a brief sojourn in South Africa, he contracted syphilis. Oh no, spirochetes are eating his brain from a prostitute. No penicillin back then. Oops. Oopsie. The family returned to the UK. Jack the Ripper murderous campaign began shortly after. Anyway, there's a lot there. I can't read it all. I'm too tired. I'm gonna have to have a nap before I stream tonight, guys. I gotta eat lunch too. I can't survive off one piece of Kit Kat caramel gooey times. I gotta have a nap. Gotta have a sleep. I'm actually gonna have to go. I'm gonna pass out. All right, gotta have lunch. Thanks for hanging out, guys. See you next time. Bye.